One without loss in the first over as Jacks is in and Lloyd backs away and cuts. Good looking shot this. That's going to race away over the boundary rope and away for 4.
Here comes Moriarty at 7 for no wickets, and Selman plays the same shot again, and he's got a better strike on that one, hitting it inside out. A couple of bounces up towards the changing.
It's not being used tonight. It's only top half, as this is a good shot from Selman, up and over the top, all the way over long off.
As Dunn is in to bowl, and Selman slogs that over mid-wicket, and he'll get 4 runs for it. It's Dunn again. What's he got in his locker? Selman goes big over mid-wicket, and he's lofted that one away for 7 for naught. As last ball sees it flicked up towards square leg. Has he cleared the fielder? Yes, he has. A leap by Clark on the square leg boundary.
As over the wicket comes Sam Curran again. Oh, he's gone again, leg side. This will be out. Jamie Overton will take the catch through the pigeons. He'll come back from Sam Curran. Sam Curran then from the Vauxhall end, bowling off 5th over. All Lloyd is sweeping straight away, 1 bounce and away for 4. That's handed, of course. First delivery, Sam Curran into him, and he's pulling straight away behind square, off his hip and away for 4.
Moriarty just looping in, bowls, and that's punched by Selman straight to cover, and he's gone for 43. Crucial point of the game. That's short from Moriarty, swung through the leg side from Ingram, and he's going to hole out in the deep at mid-wicket. Dunn, who went for 20, and the tattooed Clark comes in and bowls, and Labuschagne gets a fluky 4. As Clark bowls, and Labuschagne hoists that one over long off, 1 bounce, 4 runs. Moriarty again to bowl outside off stump, cut away by Labuschagne. He's pierced the field, and that's racing away down to the wide third man boundary.
On strike on 4, and he's swinging Sam Curran for 6 over mid wicket, shorter leg side boundary. He's got a lot of that. Sam Curran is into him, he's outside his off stump and paddles for 4. Brilliant from Labuschagne.
It's been good in any just one format. Tom Curran bowls strip, it's in the air, it's behind square on the onside, 1 bounce, it's going to be 4 runs.
In over the wicket comes Jordan Clark again to Labuschagne, who swung him shot into the pavilion for 6 on 1 knee from outside his off stump. Scared me from up here. As in over the wicket comes Jordan Clark again. Carlson drives, thick edge, down towards Tom Curran at third man, who didn't pick it up in the lights. As the throw comes in, hits the stumps, direct run out. Brilliant from Tom Curran. Absolutely brilliant bit of work.
Tom Curran bowls now in the air on the offside. There are 2 fielders, need to be careful not to bump into one another, and the catch is taken. And the catch is taken well.
And then third man, the 5 out as Labuschagne swings a full toss leg side. How much of this has he got? 1 bounce for 4. Jordan Clark is into Labuschagne, swings in the air. It's going high to Sam Curran on the edge of the circle. Well bowled Jordan Clark, well batted Marnus Labuschagne, goes for 74. 70. Last ball of the innings, will swing and a miss. Oh, they've gone for the court behind, and he's run out because he'd gone off for the single. It had gone into the gloves of Jamie Smith, and a bit like on the coconut shy at the fun fair, he took aim and just lobbed the ball back, hit the stump.
He will come in to bowl to Roy again. Floodlights shining out brightly, and Roy hammers that back past the umpire's head for 4 runs, very straight.
Long on and a deep mid-wicket. As Salter is in over the wicket to Jason Roy, who's gone up and over the top of mid-off, inside out and away for... Salter's in once more. This is short, this is cut away for 4 by Jason Roy. So just dropped in this time by Salter, because Salter's in again, and Jason Roy's gone down the ground again, straight over mid-off, inside out, 1 bounce and away for...
And they've got to be only 30 metres out. Sisodia bowls on leg side, helped away for half a dozen. Sisodia to Jacks in towards us. Side off stump and smashed away for 4 more through X.
James Wheel as he's in again, short one, hooked for 4. It could go all the way actually, this for 6. What a shot that is from Jason Roy. That's
pretty warm still for the 4,000 crowd as Roy slams that one away through mid-wicket. That's a beautifully timed cricket shot. And balls swept away, backward of square, could go for 4. No, yes!
He'd already decided he wanted to hit it somewhere else.
Just 102 needed to win, and Roy decides where he wants to put the next ball, and that's into the stand at deep mid-wicket. That's a huge
season on loan as he's driving again up the ground for 4. Jason Roy, Dathwaite's tried to get something on that on his follow through.
Lowering skies behind the pavilion as that one is hit up towards long off. No, it's chipped to point in fact, and David Lloyd takes the catch as looking towards long off.
Handed Sam Curran, he's on 1. Oh, now that's turned. Shout for LB, given
out.
He's given it. Up the ball back. Salter is into him, and Overton sweeping, and shout again from Salter, hitting the pad, running off down towards fine leg. The chase is on, it's a good chase, the ball's knocked back, and they're
fiddling around and not confident enough to go for the big shots. They don't really need that many big shots, needing fewer than 7 and over. There's a peel for a catch at the wicket, and he's been given 3 more balls for him to bowl. 2 for 24 he has at the moment. As he comes in, bowls to Jamie Smith, who pulls him and goes through mid-wicket for 4.
1 ball left to the 14th over. Next delivery. Leaning back, and that beats the man there at short extra cover. Could find the gap, should find the gap, will find the gap. To the back.
Evans to 30. Van der Hoogten bowls, and that's helped away. Way over backward square. That is 6 of the best.
Prem Sisodia, who made his mark on this competition last year, and that's a wicket, and it's the end of Evans, and he's just driven the ball straight down to our left hand side.
His wheel is in over the wicket to Jamie Smith. Short shot, Jamie Smith. He's pulled this. 1 bounce, 2 bounces, and away for 4. It's going to be Van der Hoogten to bowl to Jamie Smith, who's chipped him up and over the top and mid-off and away for 4. So, Jamie Smith gets it down to just 2 required. All that far ahead. In over the wicket once again comes Van der Hoogten. 1 needed, and there it is. Jamie Smith with the winning run. He's just tugged this ball into the leg side. It rolls out towards deep backward square, and they'll pick up a single, and Jamie Smith with the winning run finishes 35 not out.
Kent slipped to their 4th defeat from 6 NatWest T20 Blast games this summer, losing their latest to group leaders Glamorgan by 55 runs in Cardiff. Rain soon reduced this contest to 16 overs per side, Glamorgan losing their first wicket in the 4th over as Jack Rudolph was caught by Daniel Bell-Drummond off Mitch Claydon. That brought in the in-form Colin Ingram, and you could tell the kind of touch he's in right now from the off. 3 of the first 5 balls he faced all brought him boundaries. He then struck David Griffiths for a 6 to raise to 24 of the first 10 balls he'd faced. He was expertly supported by David Lloyd, who in the next over, the 6th of the innings, took Darren Stevens for 19 runs, the home team making 60 for 1 of the first 6 overs. Lloyd cleared the rope again in the next one, delivered by Fabian Cowdrey, the Welshman not minding at all that they'd been put into bat. Indeed, it started to rain sixes now. Ingram successfully went after Matt Coles, while Cowdrey's second over cost his team 20 runs, with both Lloyd and Ingram going big again. Glamorgan raising their 100 in just the 9th over, with both batsmen making 50s. Lloyd's off 26 balls and Ingram's occupying only 21. And they weren't finished quite yet, the partnership between the two realising 132 runs in just 9.5 overs. Ingram struck a 4th maximum to get to 60 off only 29 deliveries. But when he tried to keep going, he discovered Alex Blake in the deep off James Treadwell. Lloyd then completed the over with 2 more 4s, Glamorgan with 152 runs on the board from 13 overs. Wickets fell towards the end. Chris Cook hauled out to Treadwell off Griffiths, while in the final over, Claydon bowled Aaron Donald for a single. Lloyd unable to get the strike to complete 100, ending his knock on 97, made from 49 balls. 175 for 4 was the score from 16 overs. The Spitfires asked to get 177 from the same to win, but Lloyd kept himself busy by catching Bell Drummond for a duck in the first over of the reply. Dale Steyn grabbed that wicket and the one of Sam Northeast in his next over, a wicket which left the visitors in trouble on 17 for 2. Steyn had figures of 3 for 14 after 3 overs when he also removed Sam Billings for a single. Kent now with it all to do. But with Joe Denley still in, there was hope. But his innings was soon at an end, as he was held by Ingram off Michael Hogan after making 23 of the 44 runs on the board. Halfway through their reply, the Spitfires had got to 61 for 4 and now needed 116 more runs from the remaining 8 overs. Stevens knew exactly what he had to do. Kent were just about staying in the game when Blake also cleared the rope off Graham Wagg, but in reality there was just too much to do. Wickets inevitably fell. Stevens on 13 was bowled by Tim van der Gooten. Then next ball, Cowdrey was leg before to the same man for a golden duck. And when Ingram had Blake held by Wagg for 30, Kent were left on 87 for 7, 90 more to get from 4 overs. That was an impossible task, but Coles hadn't given up yet. He struck a couple of 4s and blasted 2 maximums in Ingram's over, one which went for 18, but that still left 62 runs to find off 12 balls. Steyn ended with the fabulous figures of 4 for 18 by removing Treadwell for 5, leaving it to Hogan to wrap up the inevitable by having Coles caught for a rapid 31, and then bowling Claydon for a duck next ball. Kent all out for 121 with 1 delivery unused. That meant a 55-run loss on Duckworth Lewis. Kent now stay in South Wales as they return to County Championship action against Glamorgan on Sunday.
it's that time again. Time for a bit of rock and roll. Huge wicket!
Oh, have a look at that!
Yeah, that's brilliant! What a catch! And boy, did they need that!
Well, this is punishing stuff from David Milan. He keeps going and going.
Oh, excellent catch!
What a delivery! That is an absolute beauty! That is magnificent!
Got to be quick here. Oh, brilliant, world-class David Willey.
Oh, he's gone again. He's gone again, this time straight.
Running round. Oh, that's incredible! What a catch! Huge wicket! That could be the game right there! He's got him! It's 7! Unbelievable! Oh no! Would you believe it?
It's the Notts Outlaws, 2020 champions. Brilliant performance.
Marnus Labuschagne, and Sophia Gardens.
which I probably do sometimes as a coach as well in my part-time. I thought he was too open in his stance to start off with in that first innings, certainly in that last test, and I thought he actually changed that in the second innings, and he closed himself off a bit. And I actually thought he looked a lot better in that second innings, and he played a couple of good shots. I know on TV Nasser Hussain was talking a lot about his small trigger movement that he used to make, that he hasn't been making. I also thought his weight was a little bit back, so there's a couple of things there he needs to work on. But even he's a good striker of a cricket ball, and he's a good player who's going through one of those periods which he needs to work through.
He looked last night, like you were just saying there, Steve, that he had been freed up and that he was enjoying kind of the freedom of just being able to go out there in the power play and try and be aggressive and hit his shots. And he made 48 from 23 balls, hit very well straight down the ground through mid-wicket as well. And I'd agree with what you're saying. I fully believe he is good enough to play for England at Test level. Just every player has those spells of form, don't they?
Yeah, and Test cricket does what it says on the tin. It does test you, and he's a young man who's come in. He came in with a bit of a blast last summer, and a few things haven't gone his way. It was tough in the winter. They played on some difficult pitches, and he probably hadn't really experienced that sort of quality of spin bowling on those sort of pitches, and maybe lost a bit of confidence because of that. And as I speak, Glamorgan are going to open with a spinner to him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about to see Zak Crawley open the innings with Daniel Bell-Drummond. Players out there in the middle, and Prem Sisodia is going to get things underway for the home team.
So Sisodia from the River Taff end. The crowd of, we're told, around about 1,000 to 1,200 spread around Sophia Gardens as Sisodia bowls, and Crawley is underway first ball, clipping it out towards mid-wicket and going through for a comfortable single. Glamorgan sticking with Sisodia, even though he's been taking a little bit of tap this season, just the 1 wicket and going in for 9.5 runs and over. It was around about run a ball last season. Sisodia left arm spin down leg side, that'll be called a wide. Kent 2 without loss.
Anthony Gibson last night was telling me how badly Max Waller had been going all season, and then turned it on in big style last night. So it's one of those where one good performance can change things around for you.
Sisodia, sunglasses glinting, balls as appeal for LBW, and Sisodia has got the wicket straight up, and Kent are 2 for 1. Back on his stumps went Bell-Drummond, and was pretty much pinned back, it seemed, and Glamorgan celebrates as Kent lose a wicket straight away.
I haven't got the best view from the back of the box, but that looked pretty adjacent to me. I mean, Sisodia, he does dart the ball back into the right-hander, doesn't he? And it looked as if Bell-Drummond was trying to give himself some room. There's obviously nobody out on the offside, and maybe he was looking to give himself a bit of room to free his arms, and it's just ducked back into him, and maybe done for length a bit as well. But it looked a fairly good shout from where I'm sitting at the back of the box on my high seat at the back.
I think you're right, Steve. It looked like to me he was trying to kind of nudge it away offside, went back to the ball that was fired in a bit.
Yeah, I think actually people have played Prem Sisodia better this year because they've looked to stay leg side of the ball and looked to hit maybe over the offside a bit more. But there is that risk. If he does get that line and length right, it does skid on. There's a chance of getting bowled or LBW, as Daniel Bell-Drummond found out there.
Joe Denley then on strike. Appearances for England, of course, in all forms of the game. T20 as recently as last September. As Sisodia bowls, and that's hit up towards and just over square leg, and that was 4 runs. It's rust away for 4, but that wasn't timed properly at all. And if square leg was on the edge of the circle, then another 2 metres back, and it would probably been a header. I can't.
Yeah, I think it was Rory Smith there at backward square leg. He didn't seem to pick it up too early, but I think it was just too high and just over his head.
In comes Sisodia, 6 for 1. Balls to Denley, who gets one off an inside edge to square leg, the same sort of position. This time it is a dot ball as Smith does the fielding. Smith back in the side instead of Van der Hoogten as Glamorgan rotate seamers with a busy schedule. Sisodia in to bowl to Denley, who comes down the wicket and goes for a big straight shot, gets it out towards wide long on, just the single. 7 for 1, Kent.
Yeah, he was looking to go in mid-off there, wasn't he? Exactly what I was talking about earlier, and that's just ducked back into him. He's got a thick inside edge.
Crawley on strike then. He's got a single to his credit, and Crawley plays this one up towards long on. Didn't time it. They will come back. No, they won't. Just a single taken. So 8 for 1 after the first over, and they seem to be looking to go on the offensive against Sisodia and not quite timing it there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dilemma for an opening batsman against if they do start with a spinner, because basically if the spinner manages to get 3 or 4 balls on the spot, you have to make a pretty sharp decision that you're going to have to play a big shot. You know, in T20 you can't afford just to play at the first over. So I think if you've got a spinner who knows what he's doing and really hold a line of length, it really asks some serious questions of the opening batsman. Interesting, Glamorgan aren't going with Salter to open the bowling from the other end. They're going to go with Rory Smith instead.
Let's see how that decision pans out. Zak Crawley, the man on strike, probably would prefer a little bit of extra pace on the ball. That's a good start. A little bit of away swing as well, on a good length from Rory Smith.
Yeah, decent pace and some away swing there from Smith. Yeah, Salter obviously struggled a bit against Jason Roy the other night against Surrey, but in fairness, I mean, Jason Roy is he's a world-class white ball batsman, isn't he? And he hit some great shots early on against both spinners.
Thought when that ball was up in the air in the previous over that Denley and Bell Drummond were both going to go cheaply once again like they did last night against Somerset. Here comes Smith to Crawley. It's a short ball and it's in the air down towards third man.
Well
That's
fielded.
Outstanding fielding to stop that from going for 4. No way Crawley was trying to hit it down there. He was looking to go leg side, leading edge down towards third man, and wonderfully stopped from going all the way to the boundary. I can't quite see who that is, Nick Webb.
Come on, Nick, we're relying on you.
Could well be Dowthwaite. It usually is in that sort of position.
Yeah, it is Dowthwaite. Brilliant piece of fielding. Yeah, short of a length ball, which Crawley was looking to pull away on the leg side. He's got a leading edge down to going to third man. I thought it was going all the way at one stage.
Did actually get one last night, a big top edge from a hook shot that went over the keeper's head for 6. He's going through the covers this time, or in fact straight to cover, where Colin Ingram dives to his right and does the fielding. Dot ball.
You can tell Steve James is important. We've been struggling with small screens all season, and the moment Steve turns up we get a nice big one.
I'm sure that is nothing whatsoever to do with me, Nick. But that is going to be quite useful, I do.
Steve James did open the batting with the chief executive of Glamorgan, so he's got pull round here.
Smith then once again back to his mark. Kent 10 for 1 as Crawley looks to try and slide this down towards third man. He's got it really fine, and Dowthwaite won't be able to stop that one. Whether or not Crawley's deliberately played it that fine, Steve James, he was looking to try and steer it down in that direction.
Well, as anyone who ever saw me bat knows, I'm an expert in that area. I think that was deliberately played down there, to be honest. I think that was quite a delicate shot. Rory Smith's just giving him a little bit of width, not that much, and he was just short enough so he could run that down. There might have been a bit of thick edge, but he was trying to play it there, so I'm giving Zak Crawley the benefit of the doubt there, certainly.
It's
nicely played.
It's about the only shot I can play, in truth. 14 for 1, Kent. Crawley to 8. Smith bowling to him, and it's a cut shot down towards third man. This will only be a single. A little bit of bounce outside the off stump. Dowthwaite, a busy man down at third man. Again, 15 for 1 after choosing to bat first here under blue skies in Cardiff. A little bit of puffy white stuff, but sunny and warm as well for the spectators that are in the ground. Around about 1,500, 2,000, Nick Webb?
1,500 tops, I'm afraid, under Welsh rules at the moment.
Smith in and bowling again. Denley thick outside edge down towards third man, and Dowthwaite has almost had to field every ball this over. Rory Smith has got hands on his head that he doesn't have any men in the cordon. So 2 overs gone, 8 have come off both of the opening 2 overs so far. Denley 6, Crawley 9. Kent Spitfires choosing to bat first here on BBC Radio Wales, BBC Radio Kent DAB. 16 for 1.
Roy Smith got some decent swing there, in fairness, because these white balls don't swing much, and they certainly don't swing for very long. But I thought that was a decent first over. Actually, good pace and some good swing, and probably a bit unlucky to go for as many as he did.
16 for 1 then after 2. Kent having won the toss and chosen to bat. Sisodia continues, and Denley drives to mid-wicket and picks up a single. In terms of the crowd, when Welsh Government rules were initially announced, Glamorgan were hoping to have around 2,900 in this stadium, the capacity just under 15,000, but on further examination turns out to be 1,500 tops, as that's driven up to long on by Crawley, and just the single taken again. 18 for 1. But if cricket-loving groups of 6 people who all live together would like to apply for tickets, I'm sure Glamorgan would be absolutely delighted. As that's smashed away through square leg by Denley. Sisodia trying to follow him, but maybe dropping a little bit short and muscled away through square leg for 4.
Yeah, the length was a problem there. Just too short. His line has actually been very good. He's tucked the batsman up nicely, but that was just too short and easily put away.
22 for 1. 6 off 3 balls so far in this over. Next ball sees another big swing out towards mid-wicket, not timed at all by Denley, and the ball just lobbing about halfway to the boundary. Salter doing the fielding, and single taken. 23 for 1. Sisodia has got a wicket, but he's also got several mistimed shots which he hasn't benefited from so far. Tall figure of Zak Crawley, all 6'6" of him. Cook, of course, standing up. Sisodia bowls, and another mistimed drive to mid-wicket for another single.
Yeah, he's trying to go over mid-off again, isn't he? But both of them are very tempted by there being no man back on the offside. 5 fielders saving the 1, and they're looking to go straight or over mid-off, and just getting thick edges out on the leg side.
Long on and mid-wicket are the 2 fielders back, as that is the inside out hit attempted, but he has... Oh, he's dropped at mid-off. And that was a bit of a sitter, I'm afraid.
Well, there's no bit about it, Nick. That's the easiest catch you'll ever see in your life, I'm afraid.
Denley was walking off. He was halfway to the pavilion, well, not quite halfway, but he then had to suddenly scramble to make his ground at the non-striker's end.
Who is that, Nick?
James Wheel.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah. Not sure you can say anymore, so yeah. Nick,
I'd have been embarrassed dropping.
Well, I was going to say that. You playing for Mackin 15th or whatever you play for, I reckon, yeah, you'd have been embarrassed to drop that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so again, Denny was looking to go over mid-off, wasn't he? And just didn't quite get there and skied it. I mean, yeah, I hope Denley doesn't make him pay too much. He's got at least he's got an immediate chance to make amends, because he's coming on to bowl.
I have to say, Prem Sisadia's line, as you were mentioning, Steve James, really excellent for me. That angle into the right-handers.
Tucking the batsman up, yeah, very good.
Wheel tight to the stumps then, bowling to Denley. He's trying to force his way off the back foot, having been given that reprieve. He might get a couple of runs here down towards third man as well. Good running from the pair. They get back for 2. Denley to 15, 27 for 1, dropped on 12, and it was almost a mirror image of last night, where he was at quarter wide mid-off, extra cover, trying to go over the top. Denley hasn't quite been timing it in the last few games, as Wheel bowls to him, and again this is up in the air. This might be the wicket, it should be out. This time it is, caught at mid-on, and Denley departs this time for just 15. 44 in the first game, but hasn't been able to get going ever since then. And it's a short ball into the pitch, dug in by James Wheel, who was looking to hit over the top, and just hit it straight up. Easy catch for mid-on, and Denley goes.
I think that was actually quite decent bowling. I think Denley was looking to come down the pitch, and he tucked him up and went a bit shorter, and yeah, he's just chipped up to mid-on there. He just seemed very frenetic tonight, Joe Denley. Didn't really seem... I know you've got to play shots in the power play, but didn't seem quite in control of how he was looking to play there. But Wheel will be happy to get that wicket immediately, and Denley didn't make him pay too much anyway. But yeah, it's been all action anyway, this power play, that's for certain.
It's been a bit like that for Kent in recent times, actually. They've looked to be so ultra aggressive in the power play, almost guilty of trying to overhit for me in the last couple of games, and they've actually ended up losing early wickets, which does almost set you back a bit when it comes to having to almost just dig in a bit and reset.
It's a strong batting lineup, in fairness, isn't it? You know, Bell Drummond's a good player. You know, Crawley's quality, Denley's quality as well, and you know, Sam Billings is as well. But you don't want to go too hard.
Billings to the crease then, and on strike, as you know, Crawley on strike. The batsman did cross in the air, so he just guides this one down towards third man. Gets a single before Billings will now be on strike, playing his second game in the T20 Blast for Kent. Both of these two, in fact, are having been in the England Test bubble. Billings is due to then link up with the England T20 group for the Sri Lanka series, so this well could be his last game of a brief little two-match cameo.
They might as well stay in Cardiff then.
Well, I think they're actually meeting up on Saturday, aren't they? So he probably might as well, actually. I probably shouldn't say this, but last time I saw Sam Billings play on this ground, he dislocated his shoulder.
Wheel to him then. Pulls this away up towards deep square leg. I wonder if as a player he'll have been kind of remembering those moments a little bit.
I'm trying to... when was that? 2019?
Yeah, I believe 2 years ago, and he did miss.
It was a 50 over game at the start.
50 over game, and he went down awkwardly in the field, didn't he?
Yeah, mid-off, went to his left. Yeah. Very early on in the day, if I remember correctly.
Do you think he'll kind of have memories of that and
I'm not sure. I
scarred a little bit on this ground? I don't know. Wheel bowling to Crawley. Looking to give himself room. Excellent fielding at backward point. Can't squeeze it through the gap. And a dot ball. So this has been a good over from James Wheel so far.
Yeah, David Lloyd appears to have gone into that point gully position with Kieran Carlson, who fills their Southern Championship out on the square leg boundary at the moment.
Smart work from him, as Crawley was looking to give himself room and drive away square of the wicket. The Spitfires in the sunshine here in Cardiff, 29 for 2. Wheel bowls the last ball of the over. Kept a little bit low perhaps, leg side. Slight appeal for LBW, but 2 dot balls to end the over. Got the wicket of Denley in it as well. Just 4 runs coming from it. An excellent 4th over of the opening innings of the game. Kent 29 for 2, so just 4 off it, as I said.
Yeah, he's done really well there, hasn't he? Having dropped that catch. You know, we've seen that before where things can go horribly wrong, can't they? But he's come back strongly. He actually ran in really well there as well, I thought, and looked to hit the pitch. Thought he actually bowled with decent pace there. So
I think that's a good indicator perhaps of how Kent need to bowl on this wicket, trying to hit the pitch a little bit. They tend to try and take pace off sometimes, the seamers, but at the moment Glamorgan are showing them how it's done.
It is a different wicket from the first couple of home games here, and Sisodia is going to continue with a 3rd over from the River Taff end. 29 for 2 here at Sophia Gardens, as that has Billings back on his stumps and playing straight to Smith at square leg. A dot ball. It's more towards the grandstand side, though not as far towards the grandstand as they've been playing championship cricket so far. You can see a couple of very worn strips just the right of the one that's being used as Billings comes down the pitch and drives up to long on. Takes the single. 30 for 2 Kent in this 5th over here on BBC Sport Online, BBC Radio Kent DAB, and also via the Glamorgan and Kent County websites. 30 for 2. Crawley on strike on 12. Bit of foot movement, a big heave. What's that come off? The toe end of the bat or the keeper? Just a little bit of toe of the bat, I think. It ran down to short third man for a single.
It's very short, wasn't it? Just stuck in the pitch. He was looking to pull it and then actually turned away from him, didn't it? So just couldn't get hold of it.
31 for 2. Sisodia to Billings, who comes down the wicket and gets an inside edge down to short fine leg for a single, and if he hadn't got any bat on that, he might well have been stumped. As it was, he nearly dragged it on. 32 for 2. interesting duel this between the Kent batsman and Prem Sisodia, the young left-arm spinner, and this one is driven up to mid-off, and this time it's a good scrambling stop by James Wheel, who manages to keep them down to a single. 34 for 2. 33 for 2, it was up very quickly on the board. Billings on strike. Sisodia with the last ball of his third over, down leg side, and Billings cannily just pulls inside it and watches it go down for the wide. Very bright boots, Sam Billings out there, isn't he? Yellow come red, is it? Yellow and orange. Sisodia bowls, drags it down. Billings clips it up to mid-wicket. We'll just take a single. So 6 runs off the over, 35 for 2. After 5, are Kent having won the toss and chosen to bat.
I think what we're seeing there, Nick, is a big difference between the game the other night at the Oval compared to this. Obviously, the Oval was a belter of a pitch, wasn't it? It was quite easy to just hit through the line, and you had someone like Jason Roy doing that, who's a top class player. But here, the ball's just sticking in the pitch a little bit more, and the batsmen find it hard to get after Sisodia. And he's bowled really well. You know, it's a tough gig, isn't it, bowling 3 overs in the power play when you're a young spinner. It takes a good degree of mental strength as well as skill as a spinner.
So it's going to be Rory Smith to bowl the last over of the power play. In fact, as this one beats the outside edge through to the keeper, Sam Billings just indicating that gentle away swing that we've been talking about.
Yeah, you don't often see the ball swinging for this long, do you? Yeah, he's done well, Rory Smith, in fairness.
Get that seam bolt upright, good wrist action and position in his delivery. Kent's batsmen have been given a good working over here in this power play with a slow left arm of Sisodia, and then the seamers. Oh, hello, that's another absolute beauty. Just looked like it skidded on a bit.
Just went straight on. I mean, I think the conclusion here is it's not a straightforward pitch, is it? It's not about it. Looks a little bit too paced already, I think.
Yeah, the wickets down that end of the square don't tend to be, it seems, as favourable for batsmen as the ones more towards the middle or the left.
Smith to Billings then. Oh, again, extra bounce outside the off stump. From a goodish back of good length.
It's basically taken off a good length, isn't it? You can see Billings and Crawley looking quizzically at the pitch there.
Well, clearly this is not something they'd factored into winning the toss and choosing to bat first. I think you probably want to...
Well, maybe they had, though. Maybe they thought it might get worse. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens when a bit of the hardness goes off the ball, I think.
Case of trying to stick in there for the moment for the Kent batsman. 35 for 2. Smith to Billings. Angles this down towards third man. Feels like that's been the most profitable area so far, really. Just running it down there. Kent often tend to try and go, like I was saying, ultra hard in the power play, but it almost feels like, as you say, Steve James, if batsmen can maybe just be a little bit more restrained and try and bat longer and get used to the ball and the pitch. And
yeah, I mean, they always say if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, then you're behind the game, aren't you? I'd say this is very even at the moment.
Smith bowls, Crawley flicks us away out towards deep square leg. Kent did exactly that in the game against Middlesex on their second game last week on the Friday night, but Leaning and Cox then put on 120 for the 5th wicket, so they managed to still get a decent score on the board. But it feels like maybe that has some of the batting, say from Leaning in the middle order, has papered over the cracks of the power play so far in this competition. Final ball of the 6 over restrictions then. Billings gets in behind it and just pushes it out towards a short mid-wicket position. Kent 37 for 2 here on BBC Radio Wales and BBC Radio Kent DAB after the 6 over power play. 5 Billings, 15 Crawley.
I mean, Ben, this is why so many teams prefer to chase in T20, because it's so hard to know sometimes what a good score is. And I was quite surprised when he was saying earlier that Kent's policy has been to bat first. You know, you speak to someone like Owen Morgan for England, they just feel first all the time whenever they can, you know, and just back themselves to chase whatever. But yeah, I think Glamorgan will be happy with that that power play, 37 for 2.
Interestingly, it's Prem Sisodia to continue with fielders back. So 4 overs straight off, and that one's hit up in the air by Crawley. It should be caught. It is caught. It went up a very long way. Douthwaite taking the catch at short fine leg. That one went up almost as far as the floodlights, and Kent have lost their 3rd wicket as Douthwaite just about managed to get underneath it and fell to ground to make absolutely sure. Kent 37 for 3, Crawley gone for 15.
I think Crawley be really disappointed with that, because I mean that's not a great ball, is it? It's a short ball. He basically tried to hit it for 6 and is stuck in the pitch a little bit, which it has been doing, and he's just skied it up to short fine leg. Again, another player who never quite found his touch on this slightly tricky pitch, and almost looked frustrated with himself as much as the pitch as well, to be honest.
So it's Jack leaning to the wicket. He's averaging 50 in this comp at this early stage, so going well so far. High score of 81 not out.
Yeah, he got 64 in the game against Middlesex that I was mentioning, when he and Jordan Cox put on 100 stand, and then that 81 coming against Gloucestershire, and he took 20 off the last over. So it has been going well in this competition, and has been doing a good job rebuilding after Kent have lost 3 early wickets, it feels like, for the last 3 games in a row actually.
Can they recover this time? Sisodia to Billings it will be, because they had probably time to run 2 when the ball was in the air there. Just crossed the once. Sisodia into Billings, who plays back to the bowler, makes a scrambling stop in his follow through. Does Prem Sisodia. And Glamorgan have been rewarded so far by sticking with the young left armour, who at the moment has 2 for 23, as Billings slices that one rather through the offside for a single. 38 for 3, leaning on strike for the first time. Still mostly blue sky here at Sophia Gardens. Not many spectators down beneath us. They're all spread all around the ground actually. It's the first time we've seen spectators in at the River Taff end, but a vast swathes of seating between them, as That'll-be runs down towards fine leg. Little leg glance from leaning. He'll pick up a couple of runs because there wasn't too much pace on it, and Douthwaite just hauls it in front of the boundary. Down beneath us at the Cathedral Road end, 40 for 3 Kent in this 7th over.
Best social distancing I've seen in a sports ground since fans have come back.
Sisodia bowls and driven through the offside by leaning for a single. 41 for 3.
Probably spread around the ground.
Yes, it's caused them a few headaches here, let's say that.
Of course, different rules in Wales to...
Yes, very strict implementation of social distancing, I'm told. As Sisodia is into bowl, Billings forces off the back foot up to long off. 42 for 3 at the end of 7 overs, and Sisodia's spell 2 for 28, Steve.
Yeah, he's done really well there. As I said, it's not an easy gig having to bowl 3 overs in the power play, and he's done really well there. He had a really good season last year, didn't he? Opening the bowling then, so Carvey had a nice niche for himself as an opening bowler in T20, but I do think it's not going to be easy to play spin, and there's no surprise that Andrew Salter's coming on this end. Ben, excuse my ignorance here, so in terms of spin options for Kent, obviously Joe Denley might bowl some leg spin. What else have we got?
Also got a bit of part-time off spin from Jack Leaning, and then the main frontline spin bowler is the Afghanistan overseas player Case Ahmed.
Oh, okay, of course, okay.
So they got 3 options.
Okay.
Who's playing here later in the summer for Welsh Fire?
First opportunity then for the Welsh crowd to take a look at him. Salter though with the ball in hand. Billings on strike, goes for the reverse sweep, gets it behind square on the offside. There's a fielder out in the deep, so he'll come back for a couple of runs. He'll also have Kent James Logan, the former Yorkshire spinner was released at the end of last season. They brought him in for a couple of games at the start of this competition, bowled really well, and it's actually been a little bit unfortunate to be left other teams since.
Yeah, 2 for 18 in 4 overs, and he can't get in the side.
Here comes Silter. Tossed that one up. Billings flat bats it away into the onside. Carlson with the fielding out of deep mid-wicket.
Glamorgan have obviously got Marnus Labuschagne with his leg spin, and Colin Ingram as well, who has bowled quite a lot in the past, Nick, isn't he? With some success as well, actually, in fairness.
Not so much recently, surprisingly.
Chalini just marking out a guard here. Giving the pitch a good prod. Before he'll face up to Salter for the first time. A tricky start to this game then for the Kent Spitfires, who are 45 rather, for 3, as this one's clipped down the ground. Up towards long on, where the aforementioned Labuschagne does the fielding. Interesting to see how Darren Stevens goes on this wicket. He's almost used like a spinner by Kent, in the sense that he doesn't bowl in the power play, you stick him on straight afterwards. Pace off the ball. Salter bowls, and it's clipped away by Billings in those, like you say, Nick Webb, bright orange with a bit of flash of yellow on the heel, the boots that he's wearing.
They are flash, aren't they?
They'd go well with the Welsh Fire kit, in fairness. Slight tweak to the field for Glamorgan to stick Ingram in it. Short mid-wicket. Here comes the off-spinner Salter once more. Clipped away by Leaning. It should be that fielder Ingram who runs and retrieves.
Yeah, what happened there was because Billings plays that reverse sweep so well, they'd had to bring mid-wicket to have 2 men behind square on the offside. It always seems weird to have an off-spinner bowling with a short mid-wicket, but that's what Billings has forced him to do by being able to play that shot.
Salter to him. Was a full toss, clubbed away leg side, caught him by surprise somewhat. Straight out to Carson in the deep. Could have been a bit close on height. With the spinner getting away with it. End of the over, 8 gone. Kent 49 for 3. Billings has got 12, Leaning 5.
It all seems slightly strange to be talking about rebuilding in such a short game, but that's what Kent are having to do at the moment, isn't it? 3 wickets that early is that's quite a lot of wickets, isn't it? And Billings obviously a key player for Kent, isn't he? They'll want him there in the last 5 overs, won't they? So they are rebuilding.
Jordan Cox due next in. Darren Stevens, Grant Stewart, the all-rounders. Kais Ahmed, Matt Milnes, Freddie Clarkson. But some big names already back in the dugouts away to our left in front of the pavilion. In the bright sunshine here at Sophia Gardens, James Wheel is going to bowl his second over of the game, having redeemed himself with a wicket after dropping a sitter. And Billings swings and misses a ball just outside off stump. Billings backing away and looking to hit maybe over cover, but didn't get anything on it.
I've enjoyed all the Darren Stevens stuff this season, even though that innings was against Glamorgan. There can't be too many players still playing who I played against, but Darren Stevens is one of them anyway. Played him a few times, actually. I think 97 was his debut, is that right?
Sounds about right. As this one is a straight ball from Wheel that's played back to him by Billings, not able to get that one away. Debut for Leicestershire, presumably you're talking about there.
Yeah, and he certainly wasn't bowling then either in those days. I mean,
97.
Promising young batsman. I think I played him a few times.
I don't think he got a 5 for Leicestershire, so turned into an all-rounder by Kent, effectively.
Yeah.
Stat the other day, he played in the very first T20 Cup, or 2020 Cup as it was, game for Leicestershire when the competition started.
Yeah, okay.
As Billings pulls ferociously, but will only get a single down to Selman at backwards square leg on the pavilion side of the ground. 50 for 3.
I think they won it that year as well, Leicestershire Foxes.
The very first year, did they? Maybe, yeah, okay. It's a long time ago, that.
Yeah, they beat Glamorgan in a semi-final, didn't they? Possibly the following year as well. Leicestershire
2004 or 5, yeah, maybe. Edgbaston,
yeah. Atomic Kitten. 50 for 3. We're playing in the interval. Wheel is in to bowl to Leaning, who plays that one down. May have worked the angles there down towards short third man. Now they've taken 2, but Van der Hoogten managed to cut it off. That's quite a short boundary on the 45 on this particular wicket, but Leaning back for a second run.
In fairness, Leaning has come in and probably timed the ball better than any of the other Kent batsmen. Yeah, I mean, he looks in good form.
Is that because he's had a look at what the others have done wrong, maybe?
Maybe.
Wheel steaming in, bowls, and a good stop by Chris Cook, as that one was flicked either off the glove or the pad down leg side. Thought it might run away for 4, but Cook dived to his left and made it into another dot ball.
Yeah, Leaning just seems to have come to terms with the pitch a lot more quickly than the other batsmen. Just sensed some of the others were just trying to hit the ball too hard, and the ball wasn't coming on enough.
52 for 3. Maybe Kent revising their target downwards, as Wheel bowls a slower ball that's slapped towards cover by Leaning. He'll take just the single again. 53 for 3, so just 4 runs off the over, 1 to go to halfway, and Kent in severe need of some momentum.
Yeah, as I said, I think they're taking a couple of overs to rebuild, but very shortly they're going to have to make the decision to hit the accelerator button again, aren't they? So, I mean,
you're right though, Steve. I think Jack Leaning, what he does so well in T20 cricket is he doesn't try and overhit the ball and doesn't try and hit it too hard. He is still focused on timing the ball and gives himself a moment to get going before really building into his innings. And it's quite an interesting role in this middle order when you're coming in after you've lost some early wickets, as Kent have done in this one. 53 for 3, steering this one away from Andrew Salter, the off spinner, into the leg side for a single.
He just looks to me like a player who's in good form and looks very confident in his game at the moment.
Scores of 164, 81 not out, and then 11 in this competition. Jack Leaning as Salter bowls to Sam Billings, and he goes for a slog sweep into the leg side, and it goes into the second row over the head of Kieran Carlson, away for 6 runs.
Yeah, I suspected this over might be the one where they did try and do something a bit more extravagant. He's such a dangerous player, Billings. I really like Sam Billings as a person and as a player. Just probably hasn't played enough cricket over the last few years. Just seems to be traipsing around and not playing enough, which is a great shame, I think.
Yeah, from being benched at the IPL the start of this summer with the Delhi Capitals, coming back and then getting called up to England's Test bubble, but as only wicket-keeping cover has meant he's missed out on some matches. Tossed up again by Salter. Again he goes leg side. Is it over the head of Carlson? Again it is, for 6 more runs from Sam Billings into the leg side.
It's not a massive boundary out there, is it? And Billings has taken a fancy there. Only just crept over that one, but it was enough.
Just wondering whether Salter's bowling at the correct end. It's the strike with the spin, isn't it, of the off spinner? So that shorter boundary.
Yeah, Billings, you're making the most of that. Salter's going to try and change the angle and come around the wicket. Point you were making earlier, Nick Webb, that this is the ground where 2 of the T20s against Sri Lanka will be. Sam Billings in that England squad. Leaves this one outside the off stump. Plays no shot. He thought that was going to be called a wide. As it was quite comfortably inside the blue indicator. Here comes Salter again. Tosses it up. Low full toss, slammed hard down the ground. Labuschagne does the fielding. Good balletic work from him in the deep. Keeps it to just 1. 67 for 3 with Billings on to 26. Jack Leaning 9. Salter tight to the stumps, bowling to Leaning. The final ball of the 10th over, turned away into the leg side. They thought about maybe coming back for 2, but again, good work in the deep by Carlson this time. So the halfway stage here on BBC Radio Wales, BBC Radio Kent DAB. Kent Spitfires batting first here at Cardiff, 68 for 3.
Going back to Ben, you're talking about the England Test selection. I'm pretty sure that if England had their time again, if they looked at that situation, they probably would have played Sam Billings as wicketkeeper and batted him at 7 rather than James Bracey. They were obviously very keen to get Bracey in because they'd seen something they liked, but I think on reflection, what has happened has not helped him at all, and in that role he was thrust into. Which was difficult for him, wasn't it? I think Billings would have made a better fist to that, really. It would have been a more
natural fit, wouldn't he, at number 7?
I think so, and I don't think his wicket keeping would have suffered by comparison, without being too harsh on James Bracey. He was obviously a very promising young cricketer, but he obviously found that very tough, didn't he? The whole aspect of it, really. Keeping in a Test match and then coming at number 7 against some very good bowlers.
68 for 3 as Douthwaite into the attack for his first over. Bowls, and that's a slight misfield at backward point, if we're being harsh, and they'll get 2 runs for it. Well, Jack Leaning as he scurry back for the second. Rory Smith getting a hand on it, but almost taking it away from the other fielder down at third. Or was it David Lloyd? David Lloyd, sorry. Got a hand on it, and
Douthwaite's bowled okay in T20 so far?
Yes,
assessment?
Around about 7, 8 and over. Got a few wickets. As that's driven straight back, hits the stumps at the non-strikers end. They'll hurry through for a single. 71 for 3, Kent.
Billings was out of his ground there.
I know, I was thinking that if he just got a fingertip on that would have been a terrible way to go. There was no way he was getting back there. He didn't even try, did he?
He's on strike now, Sam Billings, and he's on 26. As Douthwaite is in again, bouncing in, bowls, grunt of effort. Billings drops it on the leg side. We'll look for 2, but it won't be there. As in come the fielders. Apologies for some technical interference on the line. 72 for 3.
The boundary's not quite big enough to sneak 2 there, I don't think, is it? They were thinking about it, certainly.
Have to be played very softly indeed, wouldn't it? As Douthwaite bowls and Leaning, trying to force down through point. This time Lloyd does field cleanly, and there's no run.
Some gremlins on the line there.
There are. If that continues, we may have to change the effects microphone and go for something simpler compared to the one that's downstairs, trying to soak up the vibes of 1,000 people in a 15,000 capacity stadium.
Looks nice in the big stand there in the sun, though, doesn't it?
Pleasant experience, you would have thought. Even nicer down at the River Taff end, which is closer to the wicket and quite often almost part of the ground, Steve, down that end.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the right bloke to ask, but
you've spent enough time fielding down there. Douthwaite is in and bowls. That's hit through the covers by Leaning, but he'll just pick up a single because Carlson is fielding in front of the grandstand.
I was thinking how I was going to describe this sort of stand that used to be at that end when I played. I mean, to call it a stand would be probably
rickety.
Well, there was some sort of covering, wasn't there? But you couldn't really call it a stand, could you? How would you describe it? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Covered seating, just about.
Yeah.
73 for 3. Douthwaite is in to Billings, who comes one step down the wicket, drops it on the leg side again, but again, there's no real chance of a second run. 74 for 3, 6 runs off Dan Douthwaite's first over. We've had 11 gone here at Sophia Gardens.
It's quite nicely poised, this game, isn't it? I think a lot will depend on Sam Billings for Kent, but I don't think Glamorgan will be too displeased with how things have gone so far.
Just for context on the weather, there was a couple of people in the river when I was in the park earlier on before the game. A couple of young lads were playing with their water guns and almost managed to douse me as well as one another, and then there was a Labrador that was rather enjoying it as well.
The hero of the crowd is announced.
Marnus Labuschagne about to come into the attack. This should be an interesting battle, him against Billings. A leg spinner against Kent's club captain.
Leg spinners and bouncers.
Likes to chuck that one in, doesn't he?
That's what he bowls.
Played against one another in the Big Bash in the winter, these two. Billings was at Sydney Thunder, and Labuschagne actually in the same team as Joe Denley. As he's in and bowling then, back of length, Billings off the back foot. Plays this down towards long off for a single.
9 overs, 4 for 66 so far, Labuschagne in this competition. So he's taken wickets in each time he's bowled.
Something's always happening when Marnus Labuschagne's in the game, isn't it? It's rarely dull.
One of those players that's just full of energy and intent. And whatever he's doing, spinning the ball from one hand to the other, is now bowling to Jack Leading as he caught behind, trying to play the cut stroke. The golden arm produces the wicket, and the informed batsman on his way, trying to go square with a cut shot. It's just got the thinnest edge behind to Chris Cook. Takes a good smart catch. Leading goes for 14.
Actually bounced a bit that as well, I think, didn't it? It was only just short of a length, but it skidded on and bounced. And as I said, yeah, Labuschagne does have this habit of doing something every time he's in the game, and that's an important wicket. I was really lucky a few weeks ago for the Times newspaper I work for. I was allowed to come in and watch Marnus net. I don't know if you ever read it, but they allowed me to come in and watch him net and then have a chat with him afterwards. He batted for 2 hours and said that it was a short session because he had a bad wrist. But it was fascinating just to sort of see him in action and see how sort of enthusiastic he is and how sort of intense he is. Yeah, and it was the first time I met him, and to have a chat with him afterwards was it was really enjoyable. I mean, he's a different character. He's not you probably wouldn't want 11 of them in your team, but he's quite some character and quite some cricketer as well. I really enjoyed doing that.
From watching the documentary about the Australian Test team, I think intense was the word I was going to use to describe his personality.
Yeah.
Certainly a player with a lot of desire to improve his game.
Yeah, he just lives and breathes cricket. Yeah, it was interesting because that was at the time when he wasn't scoring any runs. He had a bit of a dodgy start, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he said to me, I've learnt more in the last few weeks than I have in the previous 6 months, which I thought was a great way of looking at things.
Well, the game where he scored 90 odd or 50 odd balls and Glamorgan lost. Continue after this.
Going to bowl to the new batsman Jordan Cox, who's pushing this one away out towards backward point. Billings wanted a scamper.
I mean, it's quite brilliant innings in near dark here last week, and rather than saying, well, yeah, I was quite pleased with my batting, he said, well, I was thinking of how I could have found an extra 5 runs.
Yeah, I saw some of that innings. He played remarkably well in that innings.
He's got a slip in play, the leg spinner, tossing this one up to Jordan Cox, who was almost Yorker length as it's dug out towards deep cover for a single.
He's a promising young player, this lad Cox, isn't he, from what I've seen and heard?
He's done well so far in the competition. 23, 64, 15 and 33 opens the batting in red ball cricket very patiently, and then has played a role as this number 6 middle order player in white ball cricket so far this season in the competition. Turned away by Billings out towards deep square leg. Certainly has livened up the crowd. There's a few gents over in by the scoreboard who've put their t-shirts in their rucksacks and enjoying the sunshine.
So Cox went to school in Essex, didn't he? He went to Felsted, but he's in the Kent setup.
Yeah, he's a Margate born Kent lad. Pushed away out towards cover. He thinks about a quick single, having to scamper back. Billings says no. They want to run out for a direct hit, but no suggestion from square leg that he was out of his ground. 12 overs gone, 77 for 4. Labuschagne's over going for just 3 and the wicket of Jack Leading.
Yeah, it's a great over for Glamorgan. That I think that was the right call from Billings to send Jordan Cox back there. I don't think there was quite a run there, but as I said, this is an intriguing innings now, isn't it? And as I said, there's a lot resting on Sam Billings. I think if Kent are to get up to the sort of total they will want.
Well, Glamorgan will be wary of Mr. Stevens in next, though. I mean, if he goes at the same rate as his championship innings against them, it'll be enough. 190 he hit against Glamorgan. some of them were wind assisted. It was an interesting comment. So I'd stick it up in the air and the wind would take it.
I mean, with all due respect, though, I think they'll be a lot more worried about Billings, won't they, in this scenario, in a T20 game? Ben, is that a fair comment?
I think that's a fair point, definitely. Stevens, red ball master, only just back in the T20 team.
Dowthwaite bouncing in, bowling outside off stump. Billings flashes, gave himself room, but gave himself too much room and couldn't get a bat on it.
I think, like I mentioned earlier, I do think it's slightly too paced, this pitch.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good pitch to vary your paces as well. So those sort of slower balls, short balls are quite useful as well.
Dowthwaite running towards us from the River Taff end, bowls, and Billings goes, bowls, going for another big swing, just clipped the top of the off stump, one bail on, one off, and that is enough for Glamorgan, and Kent do lose their 5th wicket, and Sam Billings, their top scorer, has gone for 30. And Kent 77 for 5.
Yeah, I think so. Billings is looking quite accusingly at the pitch there, but I'm not sure that was quite short enough for that shot. If I'm honest, it probably did skid on a little bit lower than he might have thought. But I'm not sure it was the short ball he thought it was. But that's a massive wicket for Glamorgan. And, well done to Dan Dowthwaite.
Here comes Stevens then, and certainly Kent's hopes, if they are going to put some sort of a competitive total on the board, now going to fall down to this pair, Cox and Stevens, Grant Stewart to come, Case Ahmed at number 9. But it's been a little bit of a repeat of Kent's failings from last night at Taunton, really. Haven't really got going. Boundaries have been particularly difficult to come by, seemingly, so far on this wicket.
Yeah, there's 2 consecutive 6s from Billings off the off spin of Andrew Sauter, but apart from that, you're right. I mean, nobody's really got going, have they? They haven't looked happy with the pitch from the start, to be honest.
That's been the only sort of successful aggression, really, hasn't it? Those 2 6s over mid wicket, off the bowling of the off spinner Salter, and Stevens comes down for a suspicious prod, wearing number 3 on the back of his dark blue and maroon shirt, and Dowthwaite in the blue of Glamorgan bowls a short ball past Stevens' nose, and he withdraws, doesn't play a shot. 77 for 5, 13th over here on BBC Sport Online, BBC Radio Kent DAB.
Got a slip in.
It's a rarity, isn't it?
And 13th over for T20 it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, Glamorgan don't often go for the slip in this form at any point in the game, as Stevens drops it into the offside, goes for a quick single. Salter has held on to the ball. I was going to say has a quick shy, but it was well placed by Darren Stevens between a couple of fielders in the circle on the offside. 78 for 5.
Stevens hasn't actually played for Kent in the T20 competition before this season. Since August of 2017 they'd moved past him and said we need to look to the future and try some younger guys, but such as his ball striking in that Glamorgan game in the championship, they thought, well, we've got to bring him back in, he's a man in form.
Dowthwaite to Jordan Cox, who plays out into the leg side. They run the first one fast, there may be a second here, and there is. Stevens is comfortably home, and there's a misfield as well from Dowthwaite. The ball bounces away. It's well watched by James Wheel, otherwise there might have been a buzzer to be had there.
Ben, am I imagining this, or did Stevens go out on loan and play T20 for somebody else?
Yeah, he went to Derbyshire.
Yeah, okay.
So he wanted to play in the T20. Kent said he's not going to be part of the squad in that competition, but didn't want to let him go.
Well, it was a while ago, this.
Yeah.
What year was 2017, do you reckon, or not, or later?
Dowthwaite bowls, and Cox gets a single out into the offside, fielded by Carlson in front of the grandstand away to our right. 4 off the over, 81 for 5 are Kent, having won the toss and chosen to bat first here on BBC Sport Online.
It was 2019, I think.
Okay, yeah. I just remember something in the midst of time. I mean, tricky situation now for Kent. What do they aim for here? I mean, I'm also in the camp that you should aim low first, and then hopefully things will go higher. But they've got themselves in a bit of a muddler with 7 overs left. Only 81 for 5, lose another couple of quick wickets, and it could be quite horrible, couldn't it? So again, they might have to rebuild again for a couple of overs and just see where they are in the last 5.
Going to have to trust the eye of Stevens and Stewart to maybe biff a few. Jordan Cox, the last recognised batsman or specialist, he cuts this one away from Labuschagne out towards deep point where Nick Selman is the fielder. Former Kent second team player once upon a time when he was playing his club cricket as an overseas player for Tunbridge Wells.
Played really well the other night against Surrey in the power play especially.
Looking forward to seeing him in action later on. Stevens the man on strike then, what can he do? Got Labuschagne out in the championship of course at Canterbury. Can there be a little bit of revenge here? Labuschagne bowls. Looked like a googly actually. Stevens turned it away into the onside. Certainly wasn't the orthodox leg spinner from Labuschagne. There were a few oohs and ahs from him.
Yeah, it looked like a googly, didn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Turned away. 83 for 5. Kent. Cox on 5. Stevens 2. The top order once again struggling to fire. Only Billings 30. Really noteworthy as Cox manages to just beat the dive of Labuschagne and get it up towards long on for a single.
When I did that interview, I asked Marnus about facing Stevens and getting out to him twice. I mean, even though the second one looked a shocking decision, didn't it?
It was an awful decision.
But he just said, brilliant challenge. He said, great to learn about playing against such an experienced bowler.
Stevens on strike. Labuschagne in and bowls. Digs it into the pitch again. Looked like a googly. Just played away behind the square off I thought it was glove, but umpire says it was thigh pad. So leg by into the leg side. Brings Cox back on strike, 85 for 5. Kent struggling to get going. As Labuschagne bowls into the pitch and it's turned away out towards deep mid wicket by Jordan Cox. Only going to be 1 run. Carlson quickly to it, hurrying the ball back to the wicket keeper, but with Darren Stevens at the crease, you're not going to get any quick 2s particularly. Perhaps fair enough when you're 45 years of age. Prefers to hit the boundaries rather than doing the running. Again, it's the googly from Labuschagne. There's a misfield by Sisodia at mid-wicket. But Labuschagne gets through his over with relative ease. 6 runs coming off it. Kent 87 for 5 after 14.
It's another good over, isn't it? But I think Kent are doing what we thought they might do, is just take a couple of overs just to knock things around, try and get at least a run of ball, and then see where they are for those last 5 overs. But they're struggling, aren't they, Kent? They don't know whether to stick or twist at the moment.
Only the Billings attack on Andrew Salter, that over, has gone from double digits. That went for 15, had a 9 and 2 8s in the power play, but other than that, Glamorgan have really kept them down in terms of the run rate.
There have only been 3 4s so far, which is hugely unusual, really. 1 to Crawley and 2 to Denley.
We do need to stress the point that it's not an easy pitch, I don't think, as I mentioned earlier on. Slightly too paced, enough grip for the spinners as well. So not easy to bat on.
140 could be challenging. Wheel is in to bowl to Stevens, who comes down the wicket and hits him straight into the advertising hoardings for 6 at long on.
Great shot. That's classic Darren Stevens. He loves that sort of flat bat shot, doesn't he? Flat bat straight down the ground.
Relatively little follow through, wasn't it? It was just a bit of a punch.
Got fast hands, isn't he? Very fast hands.
93 for 5. Stevens on to 9. Wheel, indignant no doubt, comes in, bowls, and Stevens forces that one backward. A point will get 4 runs. It's beaten David Lloyd up in the circle. It's beaten the chase of Kieran Carlson round the ropes as well. Beautifully placed by Stevens as he looks to revive Kent hopes and be the hammer of Glamorgan once more. 97 for 5.
It's the timing as well. I mean, has anybody else timed the ball that nicely so far in the Kent innings? I don't think. I mean, I thought Leaning came in and played quite nicely, but he certainly didn't do anything like that. It's a great shot from Darren Stevens.
He's under 13 pretty quickly.
This is why he's back in the T20 team. He just is timing the ball so well this summer.
Wheel races in once more. Bowls, shortish delivery outside off stump, but seemed to die on the pitch a little bit. Went through to Cook ankle high.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether that was deliberate, whether that was one of those sort of slower short balls. It's quite hard to tell from here. As I said, I'm on my high seat at the back of the box. So, but yeah, I mean, it certainly went through a lot more slowly than some of the others, but it may well have been deliberate, that.
We're still under COVID regulations, Steve. As Wheel is in to bowl, and that was a slower delivery, and Stevens can only play it up to mid-off, and that's another dot ball. So, fascinating battle between the former Durham seamer and the veteran Kent all-rounder. 10 off the first 2, and followed by a couple of dot balls. Sam Billings 30 off 30, top scorer so far. As Wheel digs another one into the pitch, and that bounces twice before it gets to Chris Cook, and it's a bye. As he seemed to bang that one in without much response from the pitch.
I think that was deliberately slow again, wasn't it?
I
think it's certainly one of those pitches where, as a bowler, you'll get a lot of reward for those changes in pace.
It's a Wag-style slow ball bouncer. 98 for 5. Bounced for the second time just before it reached Chris Cook. Cox on strike. Down leg side, pulled away. That wasn't a great ball. That was buffet, really. And there is the 100 up for Kent. They have got another big over under their belts as that boundary takes them past the century mark. 15 off, 102 for 5 after 15.
Yeah, it's disappointing end, that, wasn't it? Just the line was all wrong. Just so far down the leg side. Just so easy just to help on his way for him. He's well put away by Cox, but yeah, Whale will be disappointed with that end to the over. And Kent are still in there battling, aren't they?
Yeah, Cox certainly, as you were pointing out, Steve, is promising young players, had a decent competition so far. I just thought that was a little bit telegraphed from Wheel. He'd done it a couple of times, then he dug it into the pitch and had third man and mid-off up in the circle, and
yeah, I think if he'd got
on the leg side. But
yeah, I mean, even if it is telegraphed, I think if you get the line right, it might have been okay, but it's just a poor line, wasn't it?
Cox putting it away, got on the back foot, timed it nicely. Stevens on strike then, Labuschagne to continue. 5 overs still remaining, so there is still time for Kent to try and piece together some kind of a score. Their bowlers to look to defend. Here comes Labuschagne. Stevens stretching to get that wide delivery outside the off stump, cuts it to Selman in the deep. 1 run. Men on the boundary out a long on, long off, mid wicket and square leg, as well as Selman at deep cover. Cox now on strike. Clips this one down the ground up towards Andrew Salter. Will be another single. Mostly watchful stuff from this pair after the dismissal of Billings, other than a little burst from Darren Stevens. Looks to go over the top there, out towards deep cover. It's going to go through to Nick Selman, who's pouched it. Wanted to go over extra cover and ended up hitting it squarer than he'd planned. Labuschagne removes Stevens. The danger man caught comfortably by Selman and is on his way.
That's a good wicket for Glamorgan. As you say, Ben, he was looking to go over extra cover. There was a long off and a deep cover. There's a big gap there to the extra cover, but Darren Stevens never quite got close enough to the ball to hit it exactly where he wanted. I think it might have just gripped a little bit, and that sent it out to deep cover where Selman took the simple catch. And yeah, good time to get a wicket, I think, for Glamorgan. That's what they've done, actually, Glamorgan, isn't it? Every time Kent maybe looked like they might be starting to get something together, get some sort of partnership together, Glamorgan have taken a wicket. So that's also the best way of pegging the run rate back is taking wickets, and Glamorgan have done that well.
Feels like a similar tale for BBC Radio Kent DAB listeners. It's a bit of a repeat of last night's game. This is a separate game, but it is just a very similar batting performance where they've lost wickets in the power play and then kept losing them at awkward times as the the innings has gone on. Stewart, the new man, to join Jordan Cox.
You make things very difficult for yourselves if you keep losing wickets, don't you? It might sound very obvious and simple, but it's true.
So it's once again left with Jordan Cox and the remainder of the innings to try and something. Oh, that's a beauty from Labuschagne. Good work behind the stumps from Chris Cook, as it was a leg spinner, beat the outside edge of the bat. Fast hands from the keeper to whip off the bails, but Cox in his crease okay.
Tell you what though, that's turned and bounced, isn't it? And gone quite quickly. I know Labuschagne does bowl it quickly, but yeah, that's good luck playing that.
Could 130 be a winning score even when revising downwards?
They do say get a score on the board, but short ball pulled away. Jordan Cox wants 2 here. They are going to run back for 2. Carlson's a good fielder in the deep, but smart running from the Kent Pet. Marnus Labuschagne's fan club have started up again.
There's a bit of lubrication of the tonsils around somewhere.
Can't quite work out what they're singing. Here he comes again, the Australian, driven down the ground by Jordan Cox. Up towards long off. Single taken. Labuschagne's 3 overs so far, 2 for 13.
We've been very lucky at Glamorgan over the years with the overseas players we've had. With some great players and some great characters, and Marnus Labuschagne is another one in that long list, I think.
Have you had anyone as intense as Labuschagne, do you think? Anyone else spring to mind, Steve?
Well, that chap Richards, when he when he had his head on, he could be quite fiery, I can assure you. Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought. Was he intense all the time though, Viv?
Well,
or was he laid back some of the time?
Yeah. If we were on the field and it was a tight game,
yeah.
If you want someone to be intense, that chap Richards, yeah, he'd do it for you.
Next over sees this one played away on the leg side by Cox. Rory Smith back into the attack. I remember Morgan winning one game by a small number of runs, where he basically went round the field and G'd everyone up in the One Day Cup. I mean, going round having a word, we can still win this despite.
I've always thought Viv Richards is the greatest overseas player Glamorgan's had, because I think he taught that side that I was in. He taught us how to win. I think we were quite a talented side, young side coming through, but he taught us how to win. Yeah, as you say, Nick, we won games when he was playing that we had no right to win.
Remember the first one-day game he played, I think, was up at Edgbaston, and he was bowling the last over and got an LBW off for the last ball, which was interesting. As Smith is in to bowl, hoiked away over mid-wicket. That'll be 4 runs. Nice pick-up from Grant Stewart. Smith just dropping a little bit short. And there's not an awful lot of response sometimes from this pitch for the shorter delivery, and Stewart helped it comfortably over mid-wicket.
Yeah, that just looked like a poor ball, didn't it? Wasn't a slower ball.
112 for 6. Stewart off the mark with that boundary as Glamorgan adjust their fields.
So long on comes up and the deep mid-wicket goes back. So
mid-on and mid-off both up in the circle.
It'll be short, isn't it?
Smith in, bowls, and that's muscled through mid-wicket, and that'll be 4 more as he picked his area there nicely, Grant Stewart, and smashed it between mid-on and deep mid-wicket.
Well, as we were talking about earlier, I mean, you telegraph what you're going to bowl there by the field you've set. I think whoever that is out of deep mid-wicket, he actually went the wrong way. There's that Marnus.
Labuschagne,
went the wrong way. But I'm not sure you'd have been able to get it anyway.
It's unlike him not to chase anything, isn't it?
No, he was nowhere near that.
116 for 6. Smith to Stewart. Short ball through head height, but it's just about legitimate. It's a dot ball with two boundaries already in this over and 9 runs. Third man now comes up into the circle, and mid-on retreats to the far distance, the River Taffan boundary. Bright sunshine here at Sophia Gardens. No floodlights available. as that was well bowled by Smith, following Stewart as he looked to give himself room, and just managed to play it up to long on. Single taken, 117 for 6, Stewart under 9. Reminder that we're playing early because problems with one lot of floodlights. The requisite part is not easily available, being sourced from the States, I believe. And a 5:30 start here last week, finished in near darkness. So 5 o'clock start for this and Friday, as that's cut away for 4 runs with third man up in the circle, and Cox knew where those infielders and outfielders were, and 3 boundaries off that over from Rory Smith gets Kent going again. They're just going in fits and starts at the moment. 121 for 6 with 3 overs left. They're still in the fight, Steve.
Yeah, he's played quite nicely, this Jordan Cox, hasn't he? As soon as Rory Smith brought up third man, I was thinking he's just got to make sure he doesn't give him too much width there. And sure enough, that last ball he did, and that was nicely cut away. Yeah, Kent are still fighting. To be honest, I've got no idea what a good score is. I do think you're right, Nick. If they could get to 140, that could actually be quite competitive. But then when you've got someone like Marnus Labuschagne playing, he could make a mockery of that as well, couldn't he? So
he's going to bowl his final over here to Grant Stewart to start with. Fellow countryman. As this one's turned away into the onside. Stewart's Australian-born, but qualifies with an Italian passport as a domestic player. Set to play for Italy in the T20 European qualifiers for the World Cup in October. There's a full toss here from Labuschagne. Down the pitch comes Jordan Cox, and he was stretching for it and could only make contact with the toe end of his bat. Labuschagne fan club enjoying what he's produced so far. Here he comes once again, bowling to Jordan Cox, down the pitch. Again, doesn't hit it where he was trying to, off the lower end of the bat. Drags it up towards long on, wanted to go extra cover.
I haven't heard a well-refreshed crowd for well over a year, personally.
I've taken the day off and had the day in the sunshine, maybe an early liquid lunch. Wide ball, this one from Labuschagne. Stewart moving in his crease and then decided to fire it out wide, but it was too wide. 124 for 6 as the leg spinner, the Australian, into bowl. Grant Stewart swinging the bat hard, playing and missing. This could be a bye. Keeper Chris Cook. Ball hitting his gloves and bouncing away. In fact, a bye was signalled.
Yeah, it turned that as well, didn't it? It was definitely turning.
Turned past the wicketkeeper. As Labuschagne again, firing it in. Cut away by Jordan Cox, beats the dive of the fielder. A backward point. Gets this away for 4 runs. Boundary to Jordan Cox takes him to 25.
That's a lovely shot, that. He's played well, this young lad, I think.
It's been a thoughtful innings, hasn't it?
It could be quite an important innings, this.
He's in the Kent team, favoured over Alex Blake, who's a left-hander, big levers, big hitter. He's on a white ball only contract, but Jordan Cox playing some smart cricket here. Labuschagne bowling to him. Down the pitch he comes as he chipped it over the infield. He's going to get a couple more runs out towards the sweeper on the offside boundary. For one moment it might be ballooning up to backward of point, but managed to just about get enough on it. Labuschagne's 4 overs end with his figures 2 for 22.
That's a very good spell, that from Labuschagne, isn't it? As I said at the start, he's always keen to get in the action, and it's definitely turning. I think because he bowls it slightly more quickly, that might have helped as well. He certainly caused some problems there.
2 overs to go off the Kent innings. 131 for 6. 24 runs off the last 2.
Dalthwaite's bowled the penultimate over. It'll be interesting to see how Case Ahmed goes on this wicket, because he's had a couple of expensive nights out so far for Kent. Got a couple of wickets on his debut against Gloucestershire, but then went for 40 in 3 overs at Taunton last night.
But that can happen, can't it? Yeah.
He can maybe enjoy himself a bit more here this evening, I think.
I suspect so.
Unless Labuschagne or Ingram gets after him. 131 for 6. Kent will get a potentially competitive total, you feel. as Douthwaite in this 19th over is in to bowl, and the first ball is hammered back past him by Stewart up to long on. They'll take a single, they'll think about a second, but throw is coming in quickly to the bowler, and they think again. 132 for 6.
Salt's right there, isn't it, I think?
Used to seeing Salter in the covers, aren't we? What point? Not so tonight. Douthwaite bowls, and that's jabbed down into the ground, bounces up past the wicket, and Chris Cook has to do the fielding, but it was ballooned up into the air on the bounce, so they're able to go through for a single to Jordan Cox, who moves to 28. Second top scorer so far, Sam Billings with 30.
In fairness though, Nick, Salter's one of the better fielders, and you probably want him at long on at this stage of the innings, because that's where more balls are going to go than the covers probably.
Douthwaite to Stewart up in the block hole, and that's driven back past Douthwaite. He's got a finger to it, but it's still cannoned into the advertising at the far end, and Salter can do nothing about that one. That's very hard hit indeed by Grant Stewart.
Yeah, powerful strike. He's obviously cleared his front leg ready to hit it somewhere, but it's a low full toss, and he's flat battered it back past Douthwaite, who I think's hurt his finger, isn't he?
Yes, he's ringing it ruefully at the moment as fielders go in and out. Hokey cokey, long on and long off, both back now. As that's down leg side, and wide ball is signalled. Third man and fine leg are now both up in the circle, so he's got bowled straight.
Yeah, that was particularly disappointing ball, as he just brought fine leg up as well. If that had been clipped either side of fine leg, he'd have been very unhappy.
Douthwaite, 1 for 17 off 15 deliveries so far. Bowled a slow ball, bowled him! Very slow delivery, and Grant Stewart played about 5 minutes too early. He's gone for 15, 138 for 7.
Yeah, well bowled that. Slow ball Yorker. Gesturing to the crowd there, Dan Douthwaite. I don't know if someone's been giving him a bit of stick over there. There's some Kent fans in, do you think, Ben, or are they Glamorgan fans? I'm not sure, but
I think maybe Glamorgan fans. He was just trying to rile them up and enjoy his moment.
Yeah, no,
I don't think there's any visiting fans in anyway yet, Steve, as far as I know.
Unless there's some Kent fans who are masquerading as Glamorgan fans, maybe. I don't know.
I do know there's definitely one mate of mine who plays for my cricket club.
Pretending to be a Glamorgan fan.
No, he plays for my cricket club, but he actually lives in Wales. A hockey player, so he lives in this part of the world. I think he did say to me that he had tickets for the game. So whether that's him and a few friends, I don't know.
There were a few sold to the general public for this one, I'm told, because it's ever so complicated, because the season, the members get first dibs, and then the T20 season ticket holders, but they're then asked if they're going to turn up, and obviously 5 o'clock on a Wednesday is not the most convenient time for everyone, so there were a few on sale to the general public.
Okay.
But even if you've got a ticket, you have to say you're going to turn up, which I suppose is understandable when there's so few of them available. As Douthwaite will bowl to new batsman Qais Ahmed, Afghan leg spinner, played his country's test match and won T20 international. Douthwaite bowls to him, short delivery. Is that too high? No, it is not. It's a legitimate delivery as Douthwaite is waving to his fielders. Thought he was waving to the crowd for a moment there.
Went through quite quickly, that, didn't it?
Well,
tough ball for a new bat to face that.
Looks as though he's relishing a bit of atmosphere being back, Dan Douthwaite, as he's in. Bowled slower ball outside off stump. Ahmed has a big swing at it, misses completely, hammers his bat on the ground with frustration, and 7 runs off that Dan Douthwaite over, plus the wicket. As a bit of advertising from Dr. Hignell over the public address system. 138 for 7 Kent with 1 over left.
He's bowled well there, Douthwaite, I think. Yeah, 2 for 17 off his 3 overs. Good variations, good bit of pace as well. I think he can be very happy with how he's bowled there, in fairness.
Rory Smith to finish up there. Jordan Cox, Case Ahmed. And then just Milnes and Klaassen to come for Kent. They try and get, well, they should get beyond that 140 mark that we were talking about. Whether or not they can get to 150, I think they'd consider that a half decent effort from this position certainly, and from perhaps a position they were in at 80 for 5. Here comes Smith. Cox looking to cut away outside the off stump, tried to smash it out the ground and played and missed. Smith's 3.1 overs has gone for 24 so far. That doesn't really do justice to how well he's bowled, Steve James.
Yeah, no, he's been impressive. I thought he bowled especially well early on.
Got the ball to move, a little bit of early swing. Got some bounce as well to Billings at one point in the back end of the power play. He's got third man out and with deep cover. Long on, who will retrieve this one as Cox heaves it into the leg side. Labuschagne is the fielder, it will only be one.
Straight boundaries are so short here, it's hard to pick up the twos you might be able to pick up on bigger grounds.
Marginally bigger than Taunton, you would say. They're short, straight boundaries.
Yeah, but it's not.
They are shorter than the point and mid-wicket boundaries. At least saw a slower ball, but a full toss. Case Ahmed swings it away into the leg side, up towards Carlson. Carlson, in fact, keeping it to 1. So the 140 has been achieved. What more can Kent add in the final 3? Jordan Cox back on strike, has 29. Could end up as Kent's top scorer in the innings. Many have got starts, but not got going. I don't think I've seen a scorecard, but there's so many 15s and 14s. Smith bowls, hammered straight back, hits Rory Smith. Chance for a run out, but he holds on to the ball because his fielder backing up was all the way back at long off. So Cox moves to 30, 2 balls remaining.
Really well bowled by Rory Smith.
Yeah, Crawley 15, Denley 15, Stewart 15, Leaning 14, Stevens 14, and then Beryl Drummond failing to score. Ahmed 1 on strike with Cox, the non-striker, on 30 at the wrong end really. Smith, been an excellent last over from him so far, just 3 runs from it, 2 balls to go. Ahmed moves across his stump, swings hard, gets it past the bowler down towards the straight fielders. They might try and run 2. No, Cox says stay back. I'll have it myself as a wild throw.
Oh, there's a very easy 2 there. Labuschagne wanting to get his throw in quickly, put it about 10 metres wide of the keeper.
Yeah, I think in fairness Cox wanted the strike for the last ball, didn't he? But well bowled again by Smith. Got his Yorker up there.
Yeah, I think they definitely would have been 2. But like you say, Steve James, Cox is backing himself to hit a boundary rather than Ahmed.
Yeah.
That was the final ball. 2 umpires just chatting about something there. Maybe the fact that Ahmed has had another swipe at the pitch with his bat. I think that's a conversation that's just gone on with him. I don't quite know what he was frustrated about. Maybe the fact that he wasn't able to come back for 2 and face another ball. Smith then the final ball of the Kent innings. Jordan Cox on strike. Plays it out towards deep cover. It was a wide Yorker. Selman's misfielded it, so should be 2. And Cox gets back, and Kent make 144 for 7. It'll be 145 for Glamorgan to win the game.
Yeah, you just hope something like that doesn't become vital later on. It's just an unnecessary misfield off the last ball there. Might have taken a bobble, but I think Selman will be disappointed with himself there. Look, I think Glamorgan overall will be pretty happy with that, or very happy, I think. That's a total they would expect to chase down, but I think the one thing I will say is not an easy pitch. I think it is slightly too pace, and I think it is turning, so they'll have to bat well, but with someone like Marnus Labuschagne in the form he's in, they would expect to chase down that total. And as you were saying, Ben, I think Kent will reflect on that and say that they never really got going, did they? People got themselves in, but they never really came to terms with the pitch. I think they're a little bit spooked by that pitch. I don't think it probably played as they thought it would do. I suspect they thought it would play a little bit better, and then I think early on, seeing how it played, maybe spooked a few of the players, especially a few of the better players. They didn't, players like Denley, Crawley, even Billings to a certain extent seemed sort of to be a bit caught up in how the pitch was playing rather than trying to sort of make the most of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. If we just go down the card, a few starts, but a lack of real standout innings. Crawley making 15 at the top of the order, caught by Douthwaite, trying to fetch that short ball, wasn't it, from Sisodia into the leg side, and he topped it up just after the power play. Drummond was LBW to the same bowler, first ball for naught. Joe Denley caught by Nick Selman off the bowling of James Will, having been dropped prior to that, making 15 off 10 balls. Sam Billings made a runnable 30, hit a couple of sixes before he tried to play that ball stroke, and Douthwaite's delivery clipped the off bail. Leaning, caught behind, attempted cut shot off the leg spin of Marnus Labuschagne. Nicely taken by the wicketkeeper Chris Cook. He was out for 14. Jordan Cox ending up as the top scorer, 32 not out from 24 deliveries with 3 boundaries in there. Stevens made 14 off 12, the 4 and a 6. Caught by Salmon in the deep off Labuschagne. Douthwaite bowling Stewart for 15 from 9 balls. Case Ahmed managing 2 not out at the end, with Milnes and Clarkson the men that didn't bat 7 extras, and the total of 144 for 7. The bowling figures we'll get to in a moment with Nick Webb, and certainly the wickets shared around, and some good looking economy rates in there as well, Nick.
Yep, so Prem Sisodia, 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 28. He opened the bowling and bowled right through, which is unusual. The second part of that's unusual. Doesn't always or often bowl 4 on the bounce. Rory Smith, 4 overs, 0 for 30. He did actually beat the bat genuinely more than you often see with a seamer.
He bowled better than those figures suggest, I think.
James Wheel dropped a sitter of a catch, but actually redeemed himself by dismissing Joe Denley a couple of runs later, so it wasn't too costly. 3 overs, 1 for 22. Andrew Salter was hit for a couple of sixes by Sam Billings off successive balls over mid-wicket, so he was 2 overs, cost him 22 runs. Dan Douthwaite mixing it up nicely, 3 overs, 2 for 17, and Marnus Labuschagne mixing it up as ever, 4 overs, 2 for 22. You get the feeling that with Labuschagne, as you mentioned with Viv Richards, there's a bit of a force of personality going on out there, isn't there, that he's almost psyching players out sometimes.
Well, I mean, he's a big personality in the world game now, isn't he? I'd certainly think no one's ever going to match what Viv Richards did and how he was as a character. But yeah, certainly there is an element of that, and we're going to be hoping that Marnus Labuschagne can do it with a bat as well. Yeah, as I said earlier, Nick, I think Glamorgan going to be very happy with that. I think if you'd have given them that total to chase at the start of the game, they would probably snapped your hand off. But as you mentioned, not an easy pitch, not a straightforward pitch, but they'll be hoping they can get some partnerships going, which is something Kent simply weren't able to do. People just getting in and getting out.
Relentless campaign. Well, Kent get a couple of days off, don't they, Ben, before entertaining Essex on Sunday. Glamorgan, Middlesex at home on Friday, then down to Taunton on Saturday evening. Always seems to me a little tough on the players, Steve, playing a home and away game or vice versa in the space of a couple of days. I mean, I know it's not a very long game, but it doesn't allow you any time at all to mentally reset and prepare, does it?
You're talking to the wrong bloke here, Nick. We used to play Sunday League games in the middle of 3-day championship games, and we used to travel to other places, and then start another 3-day game straight after the finish of that 3-day game. So, I don't know. It does seem ridiculous now, and you try and tell some of the young players these days that you used to play a Sunday League game in the middle of a county championship game, and they just laugh and say, no, that didn't happen. I said, well, used to it. Yeah.
It's bizarre considering it could be somewhere on the other side of the country.
Yeah, there was some long travel sometimes, and sometimes the travels you had to make at the end of a 3-day game to start another 3-day game the next day. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was always amazed there weren't more accidents with people driving around the country very tired and often late at night.
Well, it was bad enough when Glamorgan a couple of years back, Steve, had I think a couple of one-day games, one in Colwyn Bay and the other at Lords in successive days, and I seem to remember you and I getting lost in North London and getting grumpier and grumpier as the clock ticked past midnight.
That's not fun.
That was a few years ago. Yeah, so you're talking to the wrong bloke, sorry.
We had it tough in our day. Had to go down the pit as well in the winter. So 144 for 7 here at Sophia Gardens as Glamorgan go off in pursuit of 7.25 runs an over. If you want to know the latest football score, I shall give it to you. So if you don't want to know it, if you've taped it, then shut your ears for 10 seconds. It is of course against Italy at the weekend. Full coverage on BBC Radio Wales.
As the one man from Kent, I believe, that is involved in the tournament, Johnny Williams, whose father as well, she's been a Kent lad, Tunbridge boy. I think BBC Radio Kent listeners be quite happy with that scoreline.
Right. Johnny Astor.
Okay.
So bright sunshine here at Sophia Gardens.
I was going to say, just because of the fact that we're playing early, not many other games going on in the Blast as things stand. Yorkshire 109 for 2 against Worcestershire Rapids. Leicestershire against Birmingham starts shortly.
Women's Test, of course, began this morning in Bristol. England have made 268 for 6 so far. Heather Knight has top scored with 95. Tammy Beaumont made 66. 90.2 overs bowled there at Bristol so far, but they are still playing. India quite spin heavy.
I think they get 100 overs in the day, I think is the plan, with the amount of spin bowling that you see in women's cricket. So value for your money if you get along to that to Bristol today. Just as the Kent Spitfires players making their way out to the field. Yeah, Kent's Tammy Beaumont opening the batting, 66 from 144, 6 boundaries.
Yeah, I remember you had her on commentary, didn't you? Once or twice, I believe. I've certainly commentated with her down at your place at Canterbury.
Bit of a rumpus about that being on a used pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not a great look, is it, for women's cricket, considering that, well, you get the fixtures months in advance.
I think it was a late decision, wasn't it, to play that test match, and so yeah, it's been played on one of the T20 wickets that Gloucestershire played on last week.
Yeah, it could have been worse. Could have been a 50 over game. It's 37 overs, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
This is not ideal.
No, but I suppose with the game being televised, there's, I don't know if last week's was televised as well, but there's a limited number of wickets you can use in the centre of the square for live TV games.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're back underway here at Sophia Gardens. Glamorgan setting off in pursuit of 145 to beat Kent.
Joe Denley's going to open the ball.
The man dubbed a mystery spinner.
Has he done this before, Ben?
Yeah, he often does it actually, and quite successfully generally for Kent. I was actually looking at his stats for the season, and I think he's been a little bit under-bowled for Kent. None for 11, 1 for 4, 2 for 20 and 1 for 12. Only bowled 8 overs in the competition so far, but 4 wickets and economy rate under 6.
Denley it is to bowl, and his first ball beats Lloyd as he tries to force on the offside.
It's bounced that again, isn't it? We saw that from Labuschagne. I mean, that's quite considerable bounce for a spinner.
And he comes from this Cathedral Road end, bowls, and worked away on the leg side by Lloyd for a single as Kais Ahmed does the fielding, and not a great throw to Sam Billings, and he gets a bit of a look from his captain. Morgan underway, 1 without loss.
So just worth pointing out, actually, Sam Billings is club captain, but Daniel Bell-Drummond is actually making the decisions out on the field, because Billings going back to England.
As that one's played back to the bowler by Nick Selman. He thought initially it had beaten the bowler and had come a couple of metres down the wicket. Yeah, Bell Drummond calling the shots in the field. As next delivery is played through mid-wicket for a single by Selman. One of Kent's sweepers out towards the mid-wicket boundary, towards the grandstand, away to our right.
Yeah, I know Nick Selman fairly well because he was overseas player at my cricket club in Kent for a couple of years.
As Lloyd plays defensively, dot ball. Yeah, he's was dropped from the championship side after scoring a patient 60-odd up at Northants, which was judged to be maybe not in the best interest of the team, and has had to kick his heels a bit. Not much second team cricket around, but has made it into the start of the T20.
Kind of the opposite of Labuschagne, character-wise.
As though hits him on the pads, and David Lloyd survives. A howl from Joe Denley, but that is an excellent first over from the Kent perspective. Just a couple of singles off it, and Glamorgan 2 for 0, chasing 145.
I think what Nick Selman's proved in T20, he's a very good player in the power play. When there's only two fielders out, he's played exceptional. I think he does struggle a little bit then once you come out of the power play. But to be honest, that's not that much of a problem, I don't think, in T20. If you can just have that role and play really well in the power play, and then if you get out after that, when you've got players like Labuschagne and Ingram and Cook and Carlson and people like that coming in, I don't see that as being a problem. You know,
yeah,
you wouldn't want to tell any youngsters to do that, but you know, at professional level, people can have like very specific roles, can't they? I think that is his role.
He's on strike for Matt Milnes, who's going to bowl from the river end of the ground. Start with for Kent. On the stumps, clipped away leg side. Could be a couple of runs here as Leaning sets off the chase. In fact, it's going to go all the way for 4. And there's an example of just Selman playing a fairly orthodox stroke, but timing it so well and enjoying the fact that there's only 2 men on the rope.
Yeah, he's timed it really well, isn't it? I mean, I think it was pretty straight, and if he'd have missed that, he would have been in trouble, but he's kept his balance nicely and timed that superbly out to mid-wicket for 4.
Just talking about his character, he's a very laid-back individual, loves a joke. The Australian, and he's on strike. Milnes beats him on this occasion, just trying to fence it away leg side, perhaps nip back a touch.
Yeah, not sure what he's trying to do there. Was he trying to play a sort of short arm jab pull through mid-wicket? I'm not sure. It wasn't quite short enough, was it?
No, it was a slightly awkward looking stroke.
Don't know whether it's skidded.
Delivery.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's skidded through a little bit. It's a little bit like that ball that Sam Billings got, I suppose.
Milnes does have the capacity to take pace off as well. We'll probably see that later on. This one's clipped away leg side. It was in the air for a moment. Leaning will do the fielding in the deep, so just the 1 run. Selman moves to 6. Glamorgan 7 without loss in the second over.
I mean, that is his strength, Nick Selman. He's very good leg side, and he'll look to go that way more often than not.
Tall man. David Lloyd, the shorter of the opening pair, but a powerful striker of the ball. Tapping his bat. Poised, waiting for Milnes. Punches off the back foot and straight at Zak Crawley at cover point. Still a lovely sunny evening. No floodlights in use, don't suppose we're going to need them. Here at Sophia Gardens on BBC Radio Wales and BBC Radio Kent DAB.
Yeah, could have got away with the 5:30 starts this week, but after last week playing in the dark, they didn't risk it.
Had a few finishes in the dark at Beckenham without floodlights. T20s over the years. This one's pulled away, leg side, out towards Jack Leaning and straight to him. Matt Milnes gets rid of David Lloyd with a short ball. We've seen a few stick in the pitch a bit so far in this game, and Lloyd, although managed to get a decent strike on it, has carried it all the way to the 1 man who's outside the circle on the leg side. Leaning takes the catch. He got 3 last night. He's been racking them up. Glamorgan 7 for 1. Can't get their breakthrough.
He'd be disappointed with that, David Lloyd, because he is good on the short ball. He does pull well, and the ball was there to pull and there to hit, but he's just hit it straight to the man. I mean, he needed to make a decision whether he was going to try and go really big or whether he was going to try and hit it along the floor, and got caught in between the two, unfortunately.
Was caught by Jack Leaning off the bowling of Matt Milnes. And the incoming batsman for Glamorgan, Marnus Labuschagne.
Likes building up the drama, does Dr. Hignell, doesn't he?
We might get a good reception there for Labuschagne from this crowd. Lloyd then going for one. Caught leaning bowled Milnes. Final ball of the second over incoming. Labuschagne won't face it. The two batsmen crossed while the ball was in the air, so Selman will face. And then Labuschagne will get to his work. Bell Drummond mid-off, just sending Clarkson back at third man. So can't afford to bowl with any width here really. Here Matt Milnes. Full on the stumps to Selman, runs this up to mid-on, looking for a quick single. Grant Stewart throws, hits the stumps. Labuschagne was comfortably home. Glamorgan 8 for 1 after 2 overs, chasing 145 to win the game.
What was amazing when I was talking to Marnus Labuschagne was him saying how little T20 cricket he'd played. I think he played 16 matches before this tournament, so he was hoping to play 14 in this tournament. It's almost twice as many he's played already, and he said he hopes to make the Australian squad for the World T20 in October, November, even though he hasn't played a T20 international yet.
Played a couple of big bash games, I feel like, in the winter. So
no, he did at the end, so he said he enjoyed that, but only played 16 games.
Wow, that's
remarkable, really.
Yeah, it really is.
Glamorgan need him to produce again as Joe Denley floats it up and Selman drives it out into the leg side, but will find the fielder at mid-wicket, and they just go through for the single. Well, Glamorgan cannot keep relying on Marnus Labuschagne to the extent that they have. They've had 4 scores of 50 plus, and he's got 3 of them, Nick Selman with the other, in the first 3 games. His 93 not out off 56 here was quite brilliant last week, albeit in a losing cause.
What are you saying, Nick? He's due a failure?
Well, yeah.
Come on, man.
Up against his Brisbane Heat buddy here.
Denley bowls to Labuschagne back on his stumps. Denley hands on his head, thought he'd got one through there, but reasonably comfortably played by Labuschagne.
If someone can keep a run of form going, I think it's Marnus Labuschagne.
Here comes Denley again. Labuschagne hits it out into leg side, but will find the man at deep mid-wicket. Single taken, 10 for 1. Labuschagne off the mark. Asked Selman about Labuschagne's running. He said, he's a nightmare to run with, but I'm no good, he said, at 2s and 3s, so bit of self-deprecation as well. As Denley bowls, and Selman will take a single into the leg side. Bell Drummond, the skipper, with the fielding at square leg.
Even at Tunbridge Wells, I don't remember Nick Selman being a great runner between the wickets. He'd always get 100 or 0 actually at club cricket level.
He had a season or 2 like that for Glamorgan, to be honest. Denley bowls and top edge sweep, but he'll get away with it. Will Marnus Labuschagne. Couple of runs down towards deep backwards square. Didn't really middle that one, but got enough on it to make sure that it was over the infield and relatively safe. 13 for 1.
You could see what he was doing as well, couldn't you? There's a short fine leg and a backward square leg. There's a big expanse behind those two.
Yes, he didn't have to hit it hugely well to get away with it. As Labuschagne goes for a big straight shot, I think it was meant to be, and the ball just dribbles out to mid-wicket for a single. So 14 for 1, 6 off Denley's second over.
Decent enough start, I think, by Glamorgan. Obviously disappointed to lose David Lloyd, but as you've mentioned, Nick, obviously quite a lot resting on Marnus Labuschagne.
Fred Clarkson then to come into the Kent attack. Has been Kent's stand-up bowler in the competition so far. Joint top wicket taker with 8. That's for the tournament as a whole. A fair number of players have got 8 in total. But Clarkson 4 for 32 against Hampshire, 1 for 25 against Middlesex, 2 for 36 against Gloucestershire, and then 1 for 33 last night at Taunton. Bowls in the power play and at the death as well, so those are a decent set of figures. He's going to bowl round the wicket to Labuschagne, the left armour. Big a shout for LBW, looked like it was going down the leg side. The appeal was much for the man rather than for the delivery.
Yeah, he's going to struggle to get an LBW bowling from there though, isn't he? Left arm round and bowling very wide on the crease. The only way he's going to get OBW there if it swings away from Marnus Labuschagne a lot. Otherwise the angle's just taking it down the leg side.
Australian taps his bat and waits. Left arm round, as you say. That one keeps a bit low, going for the ball stroke. Labuschagne misses it. Billings with a tumbling stop behind the stumps.
Yeah, I mean that one hasn't...
Keep low or just fuller than he thought?
Yeah, it did keep a little bit low, I think, didn't it? It was a good length ball, wasn't it? I mean, ambitious shot from Labuschagne.
He's certainly playing with intent. Saw that top edge sweep shot, but was safe in the previous over off Denley. Bright yellow helmet on. Oh, inside edge and 4 runs. Drags it past the leg stump. Hidden to fortune about that boundary. But you take him, and it says 4 in the scorebook. 18 for 1, Glamorgan.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he was trying to hit that. I mean, but as I was talking about the angle, left arm round, that's where the ball is going, isn't it? Fine leg up. I don't know where Marnus Labuschagne was looking to go over mid-off there, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, mid-off extra covers quite tight as well on the offside. Freddie Clarkson continuing. Labuschagne goes across his stumps, tries to help it around the corner, was looking to lap it past that short fine leg fielder. Stevens is the man, didn't get hold of it. They're looking to innovate.
Even Labuschagne's looking quite frantic, isn't he? I don't think too many people trust the pitch here, do they?
It looks hard to score on when you're trying to be really aggressive, and he goes back in his crease and just waits for this one and pushes it behind square on the leg side, leaning or chase. There should be a couple of runs as he collects it at long leg. Almost the way seems to be that the Jordan Cox method of you run hard, you play sensible, you push your singles, get a few twos here and there, you can get a strike rate of 120.
Yeah, I know it probably sounds a strange thing to say, you know, being too frantic in T20, because that's the idea of the game, isn't it? But
going to change the field here. Third man coming up into the circle, and then deep mid-wicket goes back. So maybe back of length into the hip here from Clarkson. It's on the leg stump, turned away by Labuschagne. They're going to run that first one hard. They're going to come back for 2 here. The bowler's end is the throw, but Selman makes it back fine, and Labuschagne gets a couple to move to 12. 8 runs off the over. 22 for 1, Glamorgan, after 4 overs of the run chase.
Yeah, that's brilliant running by those two. I actually mentioned earlier this, quite difficult to get those twos because the boundary's not that big on that side, but Labuschagne just timed that ball perfectly. Not too hard, not too soft, and they were able to rush back for a second. Very good running.
To bowl at the Cathedral Road end, Grant Stewart.
So Kent swapping their bowlers around. 2 for Denley, 1 over apiece for Milnes, Clarkson and Stewart now takes over from Denley at this Cathedral Road end, the end from which we're watching, high up on around about the 3rd floor. Bit of scaffolding in front of the press box away to our right. Apparently is installing some new opening windows so that it can actually be used under COVID rules. England, Sri Lanka here next week. Here comes Stewart in bowls to Selman, who turns it away on the leg side. They'll run the first one quickly, but there won't be a second. Nick Selman certainly favours that mid-wicket area. Most batsmen probably have played that one rather straighter. 23 for 1.
I think there's a group of nuns asking Zak Crawley to give them a wave, and they're terracing over on to our right.
Nice to hear that we've got religious input here today.
Some good outfits. I can see the sun glinting off their rather large crosses they've got over their brown gowns. A few have gone for the fancy dress then for a T20 night.
Thank you, Brother Ben. As Stewart in bowls, and Labuschagne called for a quick single and forces the misfield off Kais Ahmed. Now if he'd picked that one up and hit the wickets, either batsman could have been struggling, but they went through for the single. 24 for 1.
Yeah, just almost took his eye off it because he knew that there was a chance of a run out there, Ahmed.
Perhaps put off by the barracking nuns. 24 for 1. Stewart to Selman, who goes big down towards deep backward square and has holed out on the boundary. 24 for 2. Didn't quite get enough on it, and it was well pouched by the man running round from square leg. And Kent strike again, and Selman, in decent form here last time out, has gone for 10.
Yeah, it's quite an ambitious shot, wasn't it? I mean, as I mentioned earlier, that Selman's strength away to the leg side, that was just sort of a length ball that was drifting down. He just tried to help it on its way. It's actually quite a long way down to that part of the ground, isn't it? I initially thought he got a hold of it, but didn't quite get enough on it, and Glamorgan a 2 down.
It was Crawley out there in the deep as well, and looked like he gave the supporters that are giving a little bit of a ribbing just a little look around his shoulder as he held on. It's a decent catch. It was not far away from the rope, had to move away to his right. Held on nicely there, the England man.
Now Colin Ingram to the crease to join Marnus Labuschagne, Glamorgan's 2 overseas players. And Ingram is a man who likes to allow himself to have a look at it. And the point that Steve was making when we were discussing earlier, he hasn't played an awful lot in the last 18 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound like heresy to say it, but he doesn't quite look the player he was 3 years ago when I thought he was one of the best white ball players in the world.
Stewart is in to bowl to Labuschagne, who turns it on the leg side for a single. 25 for 2.
But I think you're right, Nick, that's because he hasn't played consistent enough cricket in that time, and it doesn't matter how good you are, you need to be playing consistently, and that was a problem we were talking about earlier with Sam Billings. He just hasn't played enough consistent cricket, and it's, as a batsman, it's difficult.
Ingram was stuck on his farm in South Africa for much of last year, didn't make it over to play for Glamorgan. Played Australian Big Bash in December, January, for around about 8 or 10 games.
I'm sure Glamorgan fans will be hoping he shuts me up immediately by smacking it to all parts. But,
slip in for him.
Stewart to Colin Ingram, who pushes and runs first ball. 26 for 2. And then Ingram also played, I think, 3 or 4 games in Pakistan before that tournament got scrapped. I believe he got to the UAE for a tournament but didn't play.
I mean, a few years ago he played some of the most incredible innings I've ever seen for Glamorgan.
Well, Glamorgan have got 6 hundreds in this format, and he's got 3 of them. It shows you his status. 26 for 2. Stewart bowls to Labuschagne, who gets edge down to third man for a single. 27 for 2.
Well, that's a genuine edge. That looked a decent ball, that, didn't it? Good length, and looks as if it left him and bounced a bit. Genuine edge down to third man. It continues to be a difficult pitch to bat on, doesn't it? This could be a tight game, this, I think.
Yep.
So 1 over remaining of the power play. Then Fred Clarson's going to bowl it.
What were Kent at the end of their power play?
37 for 2. So likely to be ahead unless Glamorgan have a big
it's going to be a tight game.
Shaping up that way with the way that the pitch is playing.
Close of play in the women's test. England 269 for 6 against India.
Clarkson to Labuschagne. Suspect that he's the key man in this run chase. Nudges it away, plays it late into the onside. This will only be 1. As Matt Milnes went to go and pick it up, then missed it. Jordan Cox did pick it up. Labuschagne was interested. Ingram not so. The left-hander, right-hand, left-hand combination.
Colin Ingram hasn't got great knees, I don't think. he hasn't, has he, Nick? Is that right? He's had knee problems.
Well, he had one fixed, didn't he? Had it,
but he hasn't got great knees.
Scraped and replaced.
He's a bit like me, I think. maybe not that bad.
A bit like Stevens, and they'd rather hit boundaries than run singles.
Yeah.
I do remember the pair of them at, was it the day that Stevens got the big knock at Swansea? Ingram got runs as well, with Clarkson bowls to him. Pushes this one square the wicket out towards cover point. Dot ball as Cox does the fielding.
Yeah, it was one day cup, wasn't it? Stevens got it, I think the snooker score 147, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct. Remember Ingram getting runs that day as well. He's had some good knocks against Kent over the years. Left-handed South African.
He's had some good knocks about most people. Essex, I think he took apart a couple of times.
We don't mind that. That's allowed. Carson bowls, straight ball, full, pushed up towards mid-on. Daniel Drummond, the standing captain, doing the duties. In the field there, 28 for 2. Clarkson none for 9 from an over and a half thus far.
If we see that pick-up shot on the leg side for 6, we know Ingram's back.
One man out at deep mid-wicket. The man's back at third man as Clarkson bowls down the leg side. It's a wide ball through to Billings. Signalled by the umpire at the far end. Just trying to just bowl into the hip there of the batsman. Just got this line slightly wrong. Songs start up again in the crowd as it's wide of the off stump and cut away in the gap for 4 runs. 33 for 2 as Ingram cashes in. Clarkson, that looked like he missed his length there and was there for Ingram to play his stroke.
I mean, that's another one of his big strengths, Ingram. Very good at picking up on the leg side, but anything short and wide, he does cut very well.
So his muscular forearms, isn't it? All that pounding of the big tyres on his farm with the hammer.
He has got very big forearms, yeah.
Clarkson then to him once more, left arm bowler to left-handed batsman, pushed out towards Joe Denley at cover, no run. Again, shorter in stature, Colin Ingram, so often you do see that players are good at the cut shot and give him any width. Stevens coming up in the ring from third man. He's just taken his cap off, so he'll be bowling very shortly. The wicket goes back. Clarkson bowls on the stumps, turned away up towards mid-on. That ends the power play with Ingram 5, Labuschagne 16, Glamorgan 33 for 2. At this stage, as Nick was saying a moment ago, 37 for 2. So an interestingly poised game here on BBC Radio Wales and BBC Radio Kent DAB with Ben Watts, with Nick Webb and with Steve James.
I think that sums up nicely how evenly poised it is. I mean, I think you're right. There's a lot resting on Marnus Labuschagne, but I think Glamorgan fans will also be hoping that it's an evening when Colin Ingram finds or rediscovers his form. I think everyone in Wales knows how well he can play. Here he is then, the big man, Darren Stevens.
Power play ends. Stevens comes straight into the attack. Was expensive last night for 49 from 4 overs, but as we were mentioning, it's small ground Taunton that can happen to a bowler.
Stevens then from this Cathedral Road end. Drummond may be captain, but Billings is also waving fielders round as Stevens bowls, and Labuschagne misses. Now, of course, Stevens has dismissed him this year in the Championship.
Twice.
The second one was
shocking.
Outside so up far outside the off stump.
Yes, he's given out twice. But Billings got a almost equally questionable one earlier in the day.
True.
As Labuschagne plays that up towards mid-on, will they risk a 2? Ingram doesn't want to know there, as one of these batsmen is 26 and the other's 35.
Hard to see from the angle I'm at here, but it looked like Labuschagne was standing quite a bit outside leg stump there to make sure he can't be elbowed over to Stevens, just give himself a bit more room to free his arms in a one-day scenario. I'm not 100% certain of that because I can't see it, but that's what it looks like from where I'm sitting.
I'd agree with that, Steve. Yeah, it did look like he's shaping to play out towards extra cover.
Stevens into Ingram, who gets that one off maybe a thickish edge out towards point. Single safe enough anyway. Didn't look an entirely convinced shot.
He was trying to play it a lot straighter than that. Just held up a bit in the pitch.
35 for 2. Glamorgan needing 145 to win. 110 needed in 13.3. Stevens to Labuschagne, who goes big and straight, and one bounce 4 into the ropes, into the boundary boards at long off.
It's a great shot, isn't it? I think what I was talking about is right. That's what he's looking to do. Give himself a bit of a mid-off's obviously up as well. I was just about to say before that ball, I mean, the problem for Kent here is that Labuschagne and Ingram are so good that they could actually make a mockery of this. So that Kent will be hoping they can get a couple of wickets very quickly.
Well, with the required run rate, they can, to some extent, stroke singles for 5 balls and over, just as Labuschagne goes for a big shot, hits it down into the ground, ball bounces out towards short mid-wicket, but Stevens has to field it himself, so after a little hesitation, they're through for a single, 40 for 2.
You feel like that's probably the key, Steve, the fact that if one of these two can bat for a good portion of these remaining 13 overs, then Glamorgan will probably get home. But if Kent keep taking wickets...
No, exactly. Yeah. Which is what we were talking a lot about in the Kent innings. They just kept losing wickets, didn't they?
Stevens trundling in, bowls down leg side, and he's got away with it to a certain extent because it's only a single as Ingram pulled fiercely, but found the man at fine leg who parried it away, cut them down to a single. 41 for 2.
Yeah,
News from the Euros. If you don't want to know, put your hands over your ears. It's just finished.
Good result, that.
2-0 Wales.
Good result.
Aaron Ramsey just before half-time, Connor Roberts in stoppage time, both Bale assists. Gareth Bale also missing a penalty.
Really? Matt Milnes.
So Matt Milnes into the attack for Kent, which is an interesting call. I mentioned about how he does like to bowl plenty of cutters, or can bowl the slower ball out the back of the hand.
Interesting they're delaying the spin.
Yeah, the fact that they are not immediately going to Case Ahmed or bringing Jack Leaning on. Maybe it's a match-up thing against these two batsmen. I don't know. I'm surprised in a way that Case Ahmed not straight into the attack. So Milnes will bowl the 8th over. Ingram on strike. Clips this away out towards Clarkson at deep mid-wicket, who was the man that managed to stop that drag down from Stevens that probably could have gone for a boundary if Ingram had got hold of it a little bit more. Labuschagne on strike then, mid-off up in the circle at the moment. He's looking at the fielders on the leg side that are out deep at square leg, mid-wicket and long on. Deep cover out as well. 3rd man. Here comes Matt Milnes, the Nottingham-born bowler. Oh, he's hit it straight to him and he's caught and bowled, and Labuschagne goes. Milnes takes a massive wicket for Kent. The Australian looking at his bat accusingly as Matt Milnes pouches him caught and bowled, and the bowling change from Bell Drummond proves fruitful for Kent. The key dismissal of Labuschagne.
It's a good catch, wasn't it? Very sharp return catch. There was me talking about why they didn't bring the spin on, but that was an inspired move, because that is a huge wicket for Kent. You can see how they celebrated there. They know how big a wicket that is. I think he's probably looking to go over mid-off as he had done with Darren Stevens, but probably got a little bit too close to it and just skimmed it straight back to the bowler. And that's an excellent catch. Big wicket that for Kent.
Are the visitors no favourites, Steve? Or is it 50-50, do you reckon?
I blame you for that as well, Nick, because you said he was due a failure.
Well, the guy's not going to score 14 50s in the tournament, is he?
I mean, obviously a lot will depend on Ingram now. Cook's a decent player, Carlson's a decent player. There's plenty of batting left, but you suspect if Labuschagne has still been there going into the sort of 15th over, then Morgan would have been sitting pretty.
From a perspective of the game, it could make it more interesting. We were saying that Labuschagne had the ability to take this game away.
Yeah, he could have made a mockery of it, definitely. Yeah.
Chris Cook on strike.
Milnes to him, clips it away out towards deep square leg, gets underway off the mark straight away. Out towards leaning in the deep. 43 for 3 then Glamorgan midway through the 8th over. Wonder whether Kent will now think to go to Ahmad or get Denley back into the attack. I would assume that Stevens will probably continue from our end at the end of this one. Stewart just coming up into the circle from fine leg. Milnes to the left-handed Ingram. Again looks to turn this away for an easy single into the leg side. Crawley getting some more chatter from behind him. 44 for 3. Kent's next game on Sunday in this competition. You were saying earlier on, Nick Webb, about the little break that they've got.
Yeah, Glamorgan Friday evening here, and then Saturday evening in Taunton.
Yes, Milnes bowls punched away off the back foot. Chris Cook out towards Crawley. It's a local battle of the bridge against Essex coming up on Sunday.
Was hoping to join you on Friday evening, Nick, but unfortunately got the text through 6:30 on Friday. I got my second jab, so
I understand your withdrawal,
what
Steve.
can you do?
I got my first one tomorrow.
Have you?
As Milnes bowls last ball of the over, hits him on the pad, looked a bit high, by not convinced, walking away. End of the over, but a good one from Milnes, and getting the key wicket at Labuschagne. Glamorgan 45 for 3 after 8. Kent at this stage for 49 for 3, so pretty much identical.
We're getting a spin, I think. Ben,
we are going to get Case Ahmad then.
So I wonder if that was a matchup. I don't know. They intrigue me, these matchup things. I mean, I think a lot's made of them, and as if they didn't happen in the past. Like, you know, as if, you know, people didn't talk about certain players couldn't play certain bowlers, and, and that sort of stuff.
I guess maybe was it more word of mouth back?
Yeah, no, of course it was.
All the video footage.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it does make me chuckle sometimes.
Yeah. They think they're reinventing the wheel. These sports scientists and analysts behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So the Afghanistan leg spinner, Kais Ahmad, into the attack.
Here he comes then, Ahmed from this Cathedral Road end, and forward comes Cook, having a look and playing it back to the bowler. 45 for 3. Ahmed bowls, and Cook is beaten by that one, but will get runs off the edge down towards third man. He'll get 4 of them. It's run away quite quickly, in fact, beating the charge, and Cook getting a fortunate 4.
Yeah, spin though immediately. I think that's the key takeout from that.
49 for 3.
I think he's asking for a slip there, wasn't he?
Ran away quite quickly, that one, considering it's facing a spinner. As Cook comes forward, plays it back to the bowler, and there's no run. Well, Glamorgan's required run rate has risen above 8, started at 7.25, as Cook plays up to long on for a single. But on the other hand, these games can change remarkably quickly. 1 or 2 big overs is probably all Glamorgan need to launch, facing a target of 145.
I mean, that's a general theme in T20, isn't it? 1 over can change a lot of things either way.
Ahmed into Ingram, who's back on his stumps defending, to Bell Drummond at cover, no run. 50 for 3. Cook 7, Ingram 9, batsman out. Selman 10, Lloyd 1, Labuschagne 22. As Ingram cuts out into the offside, calls for a quick single and has to hurry as the throw comes in from Milnes at point, but he was safely home in the end. Still another tight over from Kent, just the 6 runs off it. And Glamorgan are 51 for 3 in 9 overs now, chasing 145 to win.
Yeah, Ingram's had his sort of settling in time now, hasn't he? And you'd think maybe he needs to look to start to accelerate a bit more, I would say, wouldn't you, Nick?
Either that or work the singles a bit more regularly. There are too many dot balls creeping in from the Glamorgan point of view.
Matt Milnes is going to continue from the river end. Bowling to Ingram. Just turns his way into the onside. Milnes can't quite feel that off his own bowling. It will be a jogged through single. The only thing you would say is that at the moment Glamorgan are pretty much matching Kent's rate. If they can need 6 off the final over, they'd walk it, you would assume.
Yeah.
And if Ingram is at the crease and he is quite happy to just keep knocking singles, you'd back him to see it home. Kent are going to need to make up a little bit of ground somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, they had a couple of 15 overs, didn't they?
A couple of 15s, 114. As Milnes bowls, dab down behind square on the offside, and Klaasen fields rolling to the ground. Another single taken.
Glamorgan will just want to put a substantial partnership together. We haven't seen what that does to the game really on this pitch, have we? Because there hasn't been one really. What was the highest partnership that Kent innings?
30 odd, was it?
Billings was going, maybe.
Either third or sixth.
38, was it?
Is this one?
But you see the point. You see the point I'm making.
Yeah, again, it's maybe 3 sort of 30s, but nothing really substantial. Lost regular wickets throughout. Another dot ball there for Milnes, as Ingram hitting it straight to the fielder. In case Ahmed wringing his hands as he's taking one on the fingers. Has bowled nicely since coming back on outside the power play here, Milnes. There's good variation about him, the seam bowler. This one's whipped away leg side, tried to bowl a quicker ball, and it's gone one bounce for 4, I think. As it was whipped away down towards long leg. Umpire's ready to signal 6. He's waiting for an indication really from the fielder. Klaasen saying, I don't know.
Oh, that's good sportsmanship from Kent fielder down there. Klaasen.
I don't think they really knew, to be honest. It was tight to the
it was a few inches either side of the rope. Klaasen was the nearest to it, and well played, young man.
What did I say earlier, Nick?
You said many things earlier.
when we see Colin Ingram pick one up for 6 on the leg side, we know he's back. He's back.
Man goes out at mid wicket.
Oh, it's 4. He's not back. It's only 4. He's changed his mind. How did that happen?
Did they ever look on the replay, or I don't know.
Klaasen said 6 initially.
Sitting on my high chair at the back of the box, I can't see anything. So.
As I said in real time, I couldn't tell. It was tight either way. Milnes bowls, smacks his away over backward point down towards wide third man. Stevens will retrieve. There's a couple of runs he's just lost out on.
Les Ingram said, well, I don't think it did go, but he's miles away.
He's still talking to Sam Billings about it.
It was an interesting.
How
do you decide in that game? You know, the fielder sort of says, "Oh, this is what I think happened." How much was he watching? I don't know. Milnes to Ingram. Still on 17. Up in the air though. This is a chance for a catch. Matt Milnes will take it on the follow through. And another caught and bowled. Another key man departs. And it's Milnes who's done the damage for Kent. Ingram looking to go leg side. Has topped it straight up in the air, and Milnes on his follow through was able to run through and take the return chance. Glamorgan 59 for 4 and Ingram on his way.
Yeah, I think he thought it was shorter than it actually was. And it's just tucked him up. I think he's trying to pull it away, that sort of short arm pull that he normally plays so well. And he's only succeeded in just chipping it up in the air, and the bowler's taken the catch. So that's a big wicket for Kent. If the Labuschagne wicket was particularly big, that's probably just as big as well, I think. This is going to be difficult for Glamorgan, I think.
So that's the halfway stage of the
Kent are doing what Glamorgan did so well, and they just keep plugging away and taking wickets.
68.
Yeah, the halfway stage, Kent was 68 for 3. They just had that big over off Salter. Glamorgan's 59 for 4. But my point earlier that if you whatever you need off the final over, even if it's a required rate, which is currently 8.5, if you need 8 or 9 off the final over, field set back, depending on who you got the crease, you probably back yourself to get it.
Yeah, wickets are going to come into it now as well, aren't they, with 4 down already, as Glamorgan seek to put some sort of partnership together, as Ahmed bowls to Cook, who slices that one over backward point. Will get a couple of runs. It'll just be picked up inside the backward point boundary, and they do come back for 2, 61 for 4. 1 point though is that Glamorgan now do have 2 pretty fast runners at the wicket, though Cook is same age as Ingram. I think he's a little speedier between the stumps as he drives it up to long off for a single.
Carlson played well the other night against Surrey as well, didn't he? Looked in fine form.
Bit of a cameo, 23 off 13. He's on strike for the first time, Kieran Carlson, as he takes guard off umpire Ramage. 62 for 4 Glamorgan in the 11th, chasing 145 to win, but with both their overseas back in the dugout. Labuschagne for 22, Ingram for 17, both caught and bowled Milnes, as that's driven, and they'll go through for a single as there's a diving stop in the covers, but not cleanly enough to prevent Carlson from calling his skipper through. 63 for 4.
Seems to like scoring runs against Surrey, Carlson. I feel like I remember him getting some runs against them at the Oval a couple of years ago in a game I went to.
There's forward push by Cook, straight to cover, no run.
He's had a really good season in the championship, isn't he, Kieran Carlson? Very good.
Scored runs for fun in the first few games. Ahmed bowls, worked on the leg side by Cook. This will just be a single though. So Ahmed keeping things very much under control as he gets his first experience of bowling a ground where he'll be bowling in sets of 5 or 10, whatever they'll be called. That's a good ball. It's got Carlson tucked up. It's a dot ball, just 5 off the over then. 64 for 4 Glamorgan, and they need 81 off 9 at 9.
Captain's innings required, I think.
Kenny going to go double spin. Joe Denley about to come back on. 2 overs, none for 8 so far.
Returning to bowl, Joe Denley.
Suggesting earlier on that he'd been underused by Kent in the competition. Maybe we're going to see him bowl out here and try and make use of this pitch, which seems conducive to the spin bowling. Ahmed enjoying it so far. What can Denley do here? What can Cook and Carlson do against him? From the river end, Denley bowls, pushed away off the back foot. Single out to Bell Drummond at backward point. Carlson 1, Cook 13. Kieran Carlson taking guard. Ready to face Denley, who bowls. Edges gone, caught behind. Finger goes up, Carlson on his way, trying to chase one from Joe Denley. If Marnus Labuschagne is a golden arm, so is Joe Denley. He seems to get key wickets for Kent. Coming on bowling his leg spin at periods of the game, and he's done it again. Caught behind by Billings. Carlson goes. Glamorgan in a sticky situation, 65 for 5.
Yeah, difficult for me to see exactly what happened there because the keeper was in the way. I mean, it looked like a length ball from Denley. I can't tell whether it turned or not, whether it was inside or outside edge, to be honest.
Might have been inside edge, I think.
I mean, that was my initial instinct, that it might have been an inside edge, but I'm at the back of the box and can't see because the wicketkeeper.
Looked like there was a bit of width there, so it was legitimate
whether
for
he's
him to
actually
try and play the
played
stroke.
outside it, or I'm not sure. So I'm sorry, I can't enlighten you too much.
Oh well, Dan Douthwaite will not die wondering, as they say.
He's in at number 7. Salter, Wheel, Sisodia and Smith to come. Crowd enjoying themselves, certain members at least. As Denley prepares to bowl to Douthwaite then. Kent managing to get 144 on the board.
Looks a long way off at the moment, that, for Glamorgan, I'm afraid.
Douthwaite ready then, Joe Denley, and he comes and bowls. Driven straight back to him, dot ball. 1 for 9 so far, Denley from 2.5 overs. Sun just dipping away behind some cloud. Goal flying past our commentary position. Southwaite going out into the offside, straight to the diving fielder of Fred Clarkson at short cover. So we get a couple of dot balls. Start with Douthwaite now. Drive straight back to Denley again. Another dot ball. Pressure building and Denley keeping it very tight. Excellent over this from Kent's perspective. Well, Drummond is just going to switch to move out towards backward of point. Southwaite tapping his bat. Flicks his way into square leg and will settle for one. So just 2 runs coming off the over from Joe Denley. A wicket of Kieran Carlson. His figures 3 overs, 1 for 10. Glamorgan 66 for 5 after 12.
I think Douthwaite's got to back himself a bit here. He's not the type of player who's just going to knock it around. He's a very, very good striker of the ball, and I think he needs to back himself to do that here, because a couple of or a few overs of that could sort of turn the game back round towards Glamorgan's favour. I mean, they're struggling at the moment, Glamorgan. So I think, you know, I think Douthwaite's got to take the ball by the horns and go for a little bit.
Well, he's got his captain at the other end to give him advice or orders or suggestions. 79 needed off 8 now for Glamorgan as Douthwaite pushes forward to Ahmed and plays the ball back to the bowler. It's not the biggest of boundaries on the grandstand side, away to our right, even if it might be hitting against the spin, as Douthwaite drives straight to cover and he's gone. Well, a rather indeterminate poke from Douthwaite there, who didn't really open his shoulders enough and didn't maybe quite get to the pitch of it.
That's what I was trying to say. I think I could almost see that happening. He's just not that type of player with the ball turning a little bit and sticking in the pitch. I just felt if he tried to push it around, then that sort of tame dismissal might happen. I think he should have chosen an area where he was going to go and maybe look to take one of the spinners down. But yeah, this is unravelling a bit for Glamorgan here.
Batsman for Glamorgan is James Wheel.
Wheel is in at 8 then, ahead of Salter and Smith. Something of a toss-up in which order those would come, I guess. And well, they haven't got any runs so far this season, Salter and Smith. Wheel's only got 3, but you don't expect, and they've only batted once. Glamorgan with a collapse down in Surrey. A couple of cheap wickets. Now, Wheel is having a prod. You've got to play on that pitch. It's a left-hander.
Slip in.
Slip in. Floodlight pylon providing additional distraction, with the shadow now over the wicket at one end as Kaich Ahmed bowls, and push and run from Wheel, and the shy at the stumps by Billings, and Wheel is safely home. I think the ball hit him on the glove as he reached the non-striker's end anyway. 67 for 6, still 78 to win, and just 4 wickets left for Glamorgan. So Chris Cook really has got to score the majority of these, who would have thought.
Yeah, I was just about to say, that's going to be interesting to see how he plays this. A lot of responsibility on him.
He's on 13 as he pushes a single on the offside. At some point, Glamorgan have got to try and target one of these Kent bowlers, and they're all bowling well at the moment. 68 for 6, 77 to win, just 7 overs left after this. Ahmed in to bowl to Wheel, who drives into the offside on the bounce to cover. No run. One or two of the crowd might have thought there was a catch. There's a bit of a groan of disappointment from somewhere beneath us as the gulls swoop around at eye level. 68 for 6, 77 required off 7 after this Fields scattering on the leg side. We'll try to clear them. Ahmed bowls and Wheel plays it out to square leg just for the single. And Glamorgan were not willing to take on the young Afghani. 69 for 6, 76 needed off 7 overs, nearly 11 runs an over now, and Kent very much in the driving seat.
Yeah, as I said, I'll be fascinated to see how Chris Cook plays this now, because how long does he leave it? How far does he try and take it down? It's almost all on him, isn't it? Cook's got. If Glamorgan are going to have any chance in this game, Cook's got to be the man to do that, I think.
Going back to seam from the river end with Grant Stewart coming back on, replacing Joe Denley after we've had some overs of spin in tandem.
Just trying to restore some visuals in the corner of our box.
As Grant Stewart is in and bowling. Left-handed Wheel turns his way on the onside, unable to get a single. It's a dot ball as the bowler runs through him. Picks up.
Trouble is in T20, even if you're looking to regroup, you've still got to score, haven't you?
Yeah, as you were saying, 11 runs, the required rate. Stewart flipped away. Could be 4 runs. It will be. Wheel managing to get it away behind square over the top of the short fine leg fielder. That just gets the crowd up for a moment. Lifts the Sophia Gardens faithful.
Yeah, good shot. I mean, poor ball, but he put it away nicely with a fine leg up.
He got his line wrong there, Grant Stewart.
Yeah.
73 then for 6 here on BBC Radio Wales, BBC Radio Kent DAB. Ben Watson, Nick Webb, former Glamorgan batsman Steve James, your commentary team. They're going to take a look at the ball, or is this just the regular sanitising of it when a spectator has touched it, perhaps? .5 the current rate, required rate 10.8. 13.2 gone for Glamorgan, 73 for 6. Spin has been important. Ahmed and Denley for Kent, as well as the wickets of Matt Milnes. Stewart's going to come around the wicket now to have a go at the left-hander. The Australian-born Italian pushed away out towards point. Straight to Case Ahmed, who runs in to do the fielding, but good running between the wickets. Single for Wheel, now has gone to 7 from 6 balls. Chris Cook there on 14. Will know that he needs to be the man there at the end, really, if Glamorgan want to try and get over the line.
Yeah, if Glamorgan are going to have any chance, Cook's going to need to be the man to do that.
Remember him getting a score in a 50-over game here.
He can be a very destructive hitter at the end of an innings. Hit the ball a long way when he wants to.
Against Kent, it got very dewy and slippery at the end, and felt like Glamorgan got over the line in a tight conclusion to a one-day cup match. The man's gone back. Stewart's bowling to Cook, pulling it away hard in front of square on the onside, out towards leaning. He'll just be 1. He picks out that man in the deep. 75 for 6. Bit more of Crawley. Crawley give us a wave from the grandstand viewers. Zak Crawley is out on that boundary in front of a couple of groups of lads watching on. Fired in by Grant Stewart. They're going to run a leg by here. The throw to the umpire, standing umpire's end, as he signals leg bys. Good running in the end. Good call from Cook to hurry Wheel through. Wheel actually hesitated, but Cook was the man that made the call.
Ben, how many championship games have Kent got before the next test? 2?
Not many. Not many.
I think there are only 2 rounds, aren't there, Steve? I believe.
Here comes Stewart bowling. Full delivery, clipped away up towards wide mid-on. For a single, you're thinking regarding Crawley?
Yeah, just see how much chance he's got. I'm just thinking how difficult a time it must be for him, because he's come under a bit of pressure, bit of criticism. He'll want to put that right, and he'll want to put that to bed, won't he?
Yeah. Away to Lancashire and then home to Sussex at Beckenham in the first half of July.
I mean, the slight problem with Zak Crawley is that he hasn't scored massively heavily in county cricket, full stop, is he? I mean, his average is, early 30s.
Got a couple of scores going into that New Zealand series at a 60 against Lancashire, 90 at
Didn't get 100, did he? But
no,
what he needs is a big 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glamorgan 77 for 6 as Ahmed bowls, and Cook plays it away on the leg side. They'll look for 2 here. They turn, but they're not going to be able to get back as the throw comes in from mid-wicket. 78 for 6. Run rate mounting. Only 5.5 overs remain here at Sophia Gardens. 67 to win, and Glamorgan not finding the big shots that they will need to attempt as Wheel pushes forward defensively.
I can't imagine England will be crying out to play on this particular wicket when they come in. The Sri Lanka games.
They won't. They won't be. The wickets will be dead centre for the internationals. Ahmed bowls and Wheel clips it off his legs. Again, they'll look for 2. They might be able to get back. They turn, they'll give it a go, and they're back comfortably.
I wasn't sure if Wheel was just a bit wary of the googly, which is why he seems hesitant to try and play the big shot against Qais Ahmed.
Well, there's not much point in being hesitant about anything with 5 and a bit overs left, is there?
And you've got to be clear in your decision making, got to have that intent.
As Wheel clips one off his legs down to short fine, getting a little bit tucked up. 80 for 6, 64 runs needed to win. 81 for 6, Wheel on to 10. Cook has 17. Now, is he lining up the grandstand or maybe a straight boundary? Neither. He's forced to play that one gently away on the offside for a single.
Much better control from Ahmed today compared to yesterday at Taunton.
I mean, in fairness, the one thing you could say here is maybe Cook has decided that this is Ahmed's last over, and he probably poses the biggest threat. So just get through that, and then they'll have to go hell for leather in the last 5.
Last ball from Qais Ahmed. 1 for 19 so far. Beautiful spell from the young Afghan. Wheel is on strike. Seagulls wheeling round. Wheel back on his stumps and playing away for a single. So Qais Ahmed finishes his 4-over spell with 1 for 20. Glamorgan 83 for 6. Need a massive 62 to win off the final 5 with only 4 wickets in hand.
Yeah, I think Glamorgan have got to come up with a really clear plan of what they're going to do now. They've regrouped a little bit. They've seen off the leg spinner, but there's no point sort of just sleepwalking to defeat, is there? They've got to try and do something really aggressive and positive. Have a real plan about how they're going to do that and what sort of shots they're going to play, rather.
Graphic just coming up on the live stream for those that are watching of the Glamorgan partnerships, and a number of them were 16, 17, just mirroring the Kent innings, really, just the lack of substantial partnerships and wickets falling throughout.
Just even slightly less than the Kent ones, though. That's been the problem, hasn't it? Kent got 30s and stuff like that.
Sort of 330s, yeah. So Fred Clarkson back on from the River Taff end, as Kent probably going back to seam for the final 5. He'll push and run out towards Qais Ahmed at point from Wheel for a single. Let's move to 12, 18 for Cook.
Right, what's Cook going to do here now then?
Try and hit it in the river.
That's always a good plan, Nick.
At Sophia Gardens it is.
It's looking very clear, the river. Quite refreshing. In the afternoon heat here in Cardiff, warm day. I was here prior to the start of play, went for a little walk in the park.
Not somewhere where I hit a cricket ball, I'm afraid.
It's still got to be a decent hit down the ground if you're going to find it. Cook's going for it, it's up in the air, it should be caught. Leaning is a man underneath it in the deep. Chris Cook departs. leaning with the catch. Clarkson with another wicket in this T20 Blast competition. Kent heavy favourites now. Glamorgan 84 for 7.
I think he had to do that, but could they have done something a bit more positive a bit earlier? That would be the question I might be asking there, but I don't know. This Glamorgan innings never really got going, is it? On a tricky pitch.
I think it's exemplified just how tricky perhaps this pitch is. Getting a bowl well on it and taking regular wickets. We said that was going to have to be the formula for them to go and win the game. It's now left down to Glamorgan's bowlers to try and get them over the line, if that is still possible, with 13s now the required 8.
Well, the Cardiff Sing of the World competition is taking place this week. And maybe I can hear one or two of the female contestants warming up.
Very good, Nick, very good.
I was wondering where that link was going for a moment.
Particularly the larger built ones.
I mean, has the pitch got trickier maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's particularly easy to bat on from ball 1.
Clarkson bowling. Wheel, not far off, dragging that onto his own stumps, little inside edge onto the pad. Drops away and Billings does the fielding. He's 30 and Jordan Cox is 32. We're looking like pretty good knocks in the context of the game.
Yeah, Cox in particular at the end of that innings. I mean, he assessed that situation pretty well, in fairness, didn't he?
We haven't had that one big over really in this Glamorgan innings, have we? Just looking down the card, nothing in double figures. Kent's bowlers have done well down the ground. Is this going to be 6? Is it going to be out? It's over the head of the fielder. Miles over Jordan Cox's head. Wheel. Maximum off Clarkson. 90 for 7. That's just again lifted the crowd. Big clubbing strike straight in the V.
It's a good shot, that, isn't it? It's a powerful shot. I thought immediately he skimmed it straight to the man, but it's flown over his head.
Yeah, Jordan Cox thought he was in the game, but quite comfortably clear of him.
It's a strong shot from the crease, isn't it? It wasn't any sort of advance down the pitch or anything. Just stood there and muscled it. Good shot.
Yeah, powerful strike. Clarkson short balled as the comeback, and it's pulled out towards deep square leg. 1 run taken. Wheel now with 19. Second top scorer in the innings behind Labuschagne. So Salter on to strike. Yet to score. Clarkson last ball of his 3rd over. Round the wicket, the left-hander. Salter cuts this straight to Milnes. Good diving stop from him, moving away a little bit to his right. Gets a single, will keep the strike for the next over. Glamorgan 92 for 7, 9 off the over thanks to the hit down the ground from Wheel.
Well, Glamorgan need a couple of those every over from now on, don't they? Reminder of the next game. Of course, there'll be coverage here on BBC Sport Online and via the Glamorgan website, with attendances continuing to be limited as we will watch Grant Stewart into the action from this Cathedral Road end. And the dark blue and maroon of Kent. 92 for 7, 53 still needed off 4. Glamorgan need a miracle. What can Andrew Salter provide? Just a single on that occasion.
I guess whatever happens here, Glamorgan have got to get it as close as possible, thinking about net run rate in the group.
Yeah, even though they've only won 1 out of 3, their net run rate's only just negative at the moment, but they need to start put a run of wins together.
We're just thinking that. I mean, we were saying at the start of this innings it was going to be a close game, but at the moment it doesn't look like being close at all, does it? Unless something spectacular happens.
Looks like Kent making it 4 out of 5. Hashtag Super Kent.
They weren't very super last night, I must admit.
Stewart bowls, Wheel steps away, but Stewart follows him, and ball just trickling out on the leg side for what is now adjudged to be a leg by umpire Ramage.
It was a pretty comprehensive beating by Somerset at Taunton, but that's the beauty of playing back-to-back games. You've got that opportunity to bounce back back nice and quickly and put things right that you got wrong, I guess.
Are they still doing the Super Kent thing, or did they stop that after? Because Rob Key mentioned that, didn't he?
Well, after they hadn't won a game in the Championship all season, yeah. Poor social media admins were taking a little bit of a hit at times.
94 for 7 as Stewart bowls, and that's pushed away on the offside by Salter, but still just the single, and surely these batsmen need to be swinging at everything by now, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We saw Cook try and hit out, didn't we? And he hit it straight up in the air and got caught. I don't know what the best way is to try and go about.
Just got themselves in a hole, haven't they? And
50 needed off 21 balls, 3 wickets only remaining for Glamorgan as Stewart bowls, and a reverse something or other from Wheel that flies over the keeper's head off the edge for 4.
That'll do.
There we are, that's the way to place them, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, so he's bowling right arm round and he's got third man up, isn't he?
Just trying to flick it over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see the thinking, fair enough.
You ever play that shot in your career, Steve?
No. I'd have got sent home, I think. We tried that.
99 for 7, Wheel to 23 not out. Glamorgan's highest scorer, as he will add another couple to that as it's hit up towards the fine leg boundary. No, just a single. Hit that rather too firmly. 100 up for Glamorgan, but 45 still to win off 3.1 overs. Ripple of applause round Sophia Gardens. Actually nice to see people in all parts of the ground for once.
In fairness, Wheel, I mean, in a fairly impossible situation, he hasn't played too badly here.
No.
It's the first time I've really seen him bat.
It's looked fairly sensible, hasn't he? Stewart in to Salter, who tries to flick it over, fine leg, and is caught. Ramp shot, didn't get enough on it, just looped up, and the fielder on the edge of the circle just had to jog back a couple of metres, and Glamorgan are now 8 down.
Again, you could see what he was trying to do, but it ended up just being a little bit too full for the shot, and he couldn't get underneath it and just scooped it to short fine leg.
Salter's gone for 3. Caught Clarkson bowled Stewart.
Glamorgan are going to lose this game, and I think what they'll be most disappointed about is the fact that they haven't really got close.
No.
I know it's a difficult pitch, but they would have wanted to take it into the last 5 overs where it was still a contest, but sadly that's not been the case.
No one has got going at all, have they? As I think Ben will probably want to talk to Matt Milnes at the end of this.
Yeah,
3 top wickets.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be the Kent man of the match, I think, tonight, and he's going to come back into the attack here from the river end to try and finish the job. 3 for 18 so far, and like you say, the key wickets: Lloyd, Marnus Labuschagne and Colin Ingram. So Smith, new to the crease, is on strike. Milnes to bowl to him.
All Glamorgan's batsmen have been out caught so far.
Just tweaking around with the field here at the moment. And here comes Milnes. In and bowling. Leg side delivery, clipped away out towards deep square. Only 1 run. Smith wanted to come back for 2.
I mean, Rory Smith can bat, can't he? But it's not an ideal scenario to be coming in.
Yeah, tough situation.
To put it
impossible
mildly.
Situation.
Yeah.
Well, at least the crowd have enjoyed themselves. Rory, We Love You being sung on the terraces. And as you say, Steve, James Wheel has not done himself any harm with the efforts that he's put in. Milnes bowling to him. Playing a miss and a dot ball.
Yeah, having dropped that dolly, he's come back well, I think, in this game.
That was a nightmarish start to
No,
his
but
game, wasn't it?
it's the type of thing that can really unsettle you as a cricketer. It's easy to say, oh, you know, laugh it off and forget about it, but sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's 3 overs, 1 for 22, and now 24. And strike. Back boys behind him. Milnes bowls. Oh, it's a low full toss. He's slapped it away out towards wide, long on. Oh, that is a stunning catch.
Oh my gosh.
Jordan Cox has just reached up and caught it from long on, moving away to his left. That really is a sensational piece of cricket. Jordan Cox 32 not out with a bat. Kent's top scorer, and he's now caught James Wheel with a real blind up. Matt Milnes gets his 4th. Glamorgan 101 for 9, and Kent Spitfires on the brink of victory.
I thought he got that to start off with. I said good shot because I thought he connected nicely with it. I think he hit slightly on the bottom of the bat, but it's still a stunning running catch, isn't it? He's had to make a lot of ground to take that, and to take it while he's still on the run is a pretty special effort. But Will did decently there in a very tricky situation.
Yeah, certainly did. He's going to walk away as the top scorer in this innings, most likely, with 24 to his name as Prem Sisodia comes in. That'll be Smith on strike. The batsman crossed while the ball was in the air.
Sisodia has got a strike rate of 400 in this competition this season. He's only faced 1 ball and edged it for 4.
So it's Smith on strike, Milnes running in. Here he comes, bowls, short ball. It's a ball stroke up in the air out on the leg side. Is there a no ball? Might be a run out of the bowler's end. There is a no ball indeed.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to be, didn't it? Height.
No ball for height, so it won't be a...
Had to play a tennis shot at it. Billings is disputing that, hasn't he, for some reason? Not sure why.
Is that a chant of football's coming home? Wales got as many wins in the competition as England have at this stage. Stewart going back at third man. Field being adjusted. Milnes 3.3 overs, 4 for 22 in and bowling. Princess here in the air. It might be caught. It should be caught. 5 wickets for Matt Milnes and a win for Kent Spitfires. Glamorgan all out for 104 as the catch is safely taken. Had extra cover, and in the end, key wickets throughout the innings have proved to be the winning formula for the Kent Spitfires here at Sophia Gardens.
Yeah, I mean, well done to Kent. I mean, that's a fine performance. I mean, that's an absolute hammering for Glamorgan in a T20 game to lose by that amount. Is, you know, that's a significant victory for Kent, and well done to young Milnes for, you know, that's an evening he will remember for a while, especially getting that key wicket early on of Marnus Labuschagne. Glamorgan, as I said earlier, they'll be really disappointed they just didn't get close. You know, as we said a lot of times, not an ideal pitch. Not sure why it was quite as tricky as it was. You know, fresh pitch. You know, you would expect a good batting track, but it was a difficult pitch to bat on, and. Kent, you know, when we were talking, we didn't think they probably had quite enough, but in the end they had more than enough. So well done to them. But I think they're all going to be very disappointed with that performance.
They certainly will be. Kent have managed to bounce back immediately from their first defeat in the competition against Somerset last night at Taunton. They walk off the field of play here at Cardiff with the victory under their belt, and their 4th out of 5, as Nick Webb mentioned.
Just to mention for Jordan Cox as well, because I think his innings became more important as the evening wore on. I think he played quite maturely there at the end and assessed that situation very well, and realised what a good score might be. I can't remember how many he ended up with 32, which, you know, in the end, you know, that ended up being very important.
Yeah, 1 out of 4 for Glamorgan, 4 out of 5 for Kent. It's probably Glamorgan's weakest performance so far, Steve.
Well, I think the bottom line is, you know, they can't just keep relying on Marnus Labuschagne, can they? I mean, that was obvious before tonight. It's become even more obvious tonight. I would say, you know, some of the other batsmen need to step up and start making some contributions. Can't keep looking to Marnus. I know I was taking the mick out of you earlier on about him being due a failure, but he probably was due a failure. You can't expect him to get over 50 every single inning. So yeah, some thinking to be done by Glamorgan, but I just think more individuals need to step up to the plate.
Kent, on the other hand, well, they can get that social media hashtag out, Ben.
They were Super Kent tonight. We'll give them that.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, they can indeed. They're going to be probably top of the South Group tonight. We're going to hand back frequencies very shortly on BBC Radio Kent DAB.
Yep. BBC Sport listeners can hear Glamorgan against Middlesex Friday 5 o'clock on BBC Sport Online and on the Glamorgan website. Our thanks to Steve James for his contributions today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. And thanks to those of you that have been listening in from home, inside the ground, wherever you've been taking in the action. From myself, Ben Watts, from Nick Webb, and from Steve James, your commentary team here at Sophia Gardens this evening. We're going to review our frequencies now on BBC Radio Kent DAB, speaking to Dominic King in our Tunbridge Wells studio. Yes, well, the result here for Kent, a win once again, 4 out of 5 in the competition. They managed to bounce back from defeat against Somerset at Taunton last night. The margin of victory 40 runs in the end, and at one stage it certainly didn't look as if it was going to be going all Kent's way when they batted first on what looked like a difficult wicket here at Sophia Gardens. They managed to make 144 for 7 in the end by runs from Sam Billings, the club captain, making 30, and Jordan Cox 32 not out, but a lot of players got starts and then got out. But as I mentioned, it always looked like it might be a difficult wicket, and so that proved, with wickets for the spinners. Joe Denley taking 1 for 10, Case Ahmad 1 for 20, the Afghanistan overseas player. But it was Matt Milnes, actually, the seam bowler, who managed to steal the show with the ball. 5 for 22 for him. He got the key wickets as well, the likes of Marnus Labuschagne, Colin Ingram too. And in the end, Kent managing to win the game by 40 runs, 4 out of 5. Happy days for the Kent supporters